Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Dan Patrick.
Do you want to hear from the Bengals?
Look, whenever you're in the conversation for the number one pick, it's obviously a dream come true.
Snap back to Joe. Looking left, design run. Quarterback draw up the middle. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
Let's bring in the Bengals head coach, Zach Taylor. Has the Bengals organization decided on who you're taking number one overall?
I think we're really comfortable with the direction we're headed.
Bringing you the biggest guests and best interviews right to your living room /office/daycare center.
Is there a scenario where you would change who you're taking?
It doesn't work that way. You know, people all the time ask me what would it take to give up that pick, and if there's somebody there that people are willing to give up a lot for, that they believe in, you know, then that really verifies what we think about those players as well.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Hour one on this Tuesday, Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Hopefully you're practicing safe distancing here, self-distancing. We're trying to do our best here since we're an essential part of a big piece of glass in front of us between Paulie and myself. But we've been deemed essential, and that's why we're able to be here today. I think this is the first time we're ever deemed essential.
Usually it's solid and improving.
Yes, but we're essential here, and hopefully we're adding to your mood. We're helping. Fritzy is at home, McLovin at home, Seaton at home. Yours truly here in the Man Cave with Paulie. And I said it was a big day today, and we have our street artist, RC, is in here. He did the beautiful work in the field house when we started this. We moved into the new Man Cave, and he had 11 days to create what you see in the Man Cave there with all the beautiful artwork there. And I said, I think it's time that we go all in on Tom Brady in a creamsicle uniform, and you see him in the Patriot uniform we have on the wall. And RC is here the next 2 days, and we're going to have the transformation of Tom Brady in the creamsicle uniforms. We want to get out in front of everybody here. We have not heard from Tom about our Tampa Bay T-shirts yet, and we haven't heard from his lawyers yet, but hopefully he'll appreciate this, that we put him in the creamsicle uniforms. Yes, Paulie?
There are shirts still available, by the way, and I looked at the mock-up. Are you thinking about going with the white helmet?
No.
With the Tampa white with the orange trim?
No.
Really all in?
I'm going all in on creamsicle.
Okay.
Yeah, all in on creamsicle
Beautiful.
for Tom. Yes. All right, 877-3DP Show, email address dp@danpatrick.com. Chris Fowler, the voice of college football, will join us coming up in a little bit. Jon Hamm, the actor, will join us a little bit later on. He's took part in a celebrity poker event, and he's also in Top Gun, and I think that comes out in December. I think they already shot that. Tom Cruise. Who was the guy, who else is in that movie with Tom Cruise? Zach
Galifianakis, I think, is in.
No, he's not. He's not in that. The kid who was in the J.K. Simmons movie.
Miles Teller.
Yes, Miles Teller.
Tom Cruise, Jennifer Connelly. Wow. Val Kilmer, Ed Harris, Jon Hamm, Miles Teller.
Okay. Is Miles Teller his son?
He's playing a character called Rooster.
Of course.
Not his son, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure.
All right, so Jon Hamm will join us later on, and Russell Wilson will join us coming up as well. Your phone calls are always welcome. Paulie's got a couple of really good poll questions, apparently. This program brought to you by LegalZoom. LegalZoom has made it easy to set up the right estate plan without leaving your home. Take care of your family today. The right estate plan at LegalZoom.com. Since it's not in season, college football might not be front and center for most of you. The coronavirus is having a profound impact on all the sports. So no matter where they fall on the calendar, they're going to be impacted this year. There are reports that came out yesterday that we might be looking at spring college football. There's also a movement to expand the playoffs, maybe from 4 to 16 teams. Nobody knows for certain now. That's why I wanted to have Chris Fowler on and get an educated guess from him. But you can throw out the playbook for any kind of scenario from the past. I think everything is on the table in all of these sports. College football was already in the midst of change. You know, think back. It wasn't that long ago when the NCAA acquiesced to the idea of athletes making money off their own image. And another factor to consider, college football's revenue helps all the other collegiate sports at most of these schools. So it's a critical time. The NCAA's next moves are going to have an impact on health, the economy, the future of college sports as we know it, and hopefully everybody involved makes wise decisions with the game that we love, and hopefully it's back soon. Chris Fowler tweeted this out yesterday. We are 20 Saturdays from the scheduled start of college football. So how likely is it that this is going to happen? What scenarios are being weighed? When will we know more? Who's going to decide all of this? You're asking a lot of questions, and I get it. I'm starving for answers, too. Here's some, quote, informed speculation on where we are now after checking in with folks this week, which he will share with us coming up. I can only be so specific, and people don't want their names attached to this topic right now, but he has some answers, or at least some informed speculation, which Chris Fowler will give that to you in about 10 minutes from now. Panthers have given Christian McCaffrey a new deal. He's the highest paid running back in the sport. I have some thoughts about that I'll give that to you coming up. Karl Anthony Towns lost his mother to the coronavirus. If you know about their relationship, it's a Minnesota Timberwolves center, and his relationship with his mom. I think his rookie year, his mom went to every single game, home and away. And I think he might have, stayed with her, and she cooked his meals for him. They were best friends. But Karl Anthony Towns, and you look at some of those videos, I mean, it's heartbreaking. He's talking about this and what she meant to him. And I know there are other people who've gone through similar hardships, and I just pointing this one out because it's sports related. But Karl Anthony Towns losing his mother to the coronavirus. All right, 877-3DP-SHOW, email address dp@danpatrick.com. Say good morning to our TV partners. It's youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show, and our radio affiliates, including the Fox Sports Radio lineup. McLovin, what kind of poll questions do you have today?
Okay, we all agreed on this question. Was extending Christian McCaffrey, making him the highest paid running back, a smart move or a dumb move for the Panthers?
Okay, did they have a year left on the contract or a fifth-year option for him, I believe?
Yeah, they definitely didn't have to do it now.
Okay. You're in a rebuild. Okay, I see this from a variety of vantage points here. You lose Kuechly, Greg Olsen, Cam Newton is gone. You're really a faceless franchise. You got a new owner and a new coach. You bring in Teddy Bridgewater. Okay. Who might be a bridge quarterback, pun intended. I wouldn't have paid him now. I would have had another season, and then we could talk about this. But even then, I would want to give him, I would want to have him for 3 or 4 more years, but I would franchise tag him. I wouldn't want to give him a contract that's fully guaranteed, or however much is guaranteed here. At that position, the better you are, the more carries, more touches you get. Like if you're a great defensive back, if you're so great, nobody throws your way. A running back, we got to get you the ball even more. Now, McCaffrey is 24. He's turning 24. You're going to get his best years. Now, I understand why, McCaffrey's got to be thrilled about this because, he's going to get this before the age of 30 and might get another deal out of this as well. But at that position, he had a lot of carries at Stanford. And now I'm going to have him. I have to rely on him even more because I don't have any weapons on offense. And I would be nervous about giving him that kind of length of a contract here. The money is $16 million a year. I mean, he's that and more to that franchise. It's just that position. As important as he is to that offense, now he's got to be even more important, and the odds are not in your favor. And I don't look at Todd Gurley and the knee injury and go, oh, you can't do that. I mean, that's arthritis, and that was a pre-existing that he had. But you start to look at Derrick Henry. I wouldn't want to pay Derrick Henry, 4 years. I would franchise him. I would want to do the next couple of years with him, and then after those 2 years, I'd say thank you, and then I'd be done. And then I'd move on to my next running back. Running backs aren't going to be top 10 picks anymore. It's just not. Saquon Barkley, that's an aberration, it feels like. Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey. I just don't see that happening anymore at that position. And if you're McCaffrey, you get the money, you're certainly worth that to your franchise. I just get nervous at that position. 400 touches last year. Led the NFL. 400. And then look at what he did in college. Eventually, you only have so many carries. I've said this before about running backs. You only have so many touches in your body. That's it. It's the one position where you know eventually it's going to catch up to you. Wide receiver, you can sort of change who you are as a wide receiver. But a running back, that's hard to change. Yeah, Paul.
How much do you think star power and the new owner factored in this? David Tepper, he lost a lot of faces in the past month or two.
Yeah, a lot. Because it's like when the Lakers gave Kobe Bryant all that money at the end of his career. They weren't a good team, but they wanted to give you a reason to come out and see the Lakers. It wasn't, financially smart with the Lakers of rebuilding your team, but they were sort of in between here, and they gave Kobe that money, and you showed up to watch Kobe play basketball. Carolina might be in the same situation here. Yeah, McLovin.
Why would star power factor in the NFL? I mean, fans are going to come out one way or the other. All they care about is a winner, not a star. I don't think it's a star-driven league like the NBA.
Yeah, but you don't have anybody there in Carolina. I mean, you have Teddy Bridgewater. Christian McCaffrey will bring fans to the stadium. That's the face of the team nationally. I don't know how many players you can say that about in the NFL. Your quarterbacks, you're showing up to see Patrick Mahomes. You're showing up to see Aaron Rodgers. Drew Brees, you can throw him in there. I mean, there's quarterback. Tom Brady, you're going to show up to see. How many non-quarterbacks are you showing up to see? And, the Bears fans going, I got to go see Khalil Mack. Probably not. Are you showing up to see Derrick Henry? Maybe. I could see that with the Titans. Christian McCaffrey is somebody I think you show up to see. Yeah, McLevin.
But isn't Tepper supposed to be this great analytical owner, like the new wave of owners who puts a number? That's how he got such an edge in hedge funds is analytics. This seems so odd for him to pay a running back.
I would love to hear his logic and the analytics attached to Christian McCaffrey because it's still a running back with a lot of touches. Yeah, Paul.
But if you read about David Tepper, he was always passionate about football. I'm guessing business, there's no passion. You look at stocks, you don't get passionate about a company. He may look at Christian McCaffrey and say, I got to have one guy to sell jerseys with, and I'm passionate about this player.
Well, that's the mistake that these owners make. It's a business. That's why Belichick has been so good at what he does. It's a business to him. Robert Kraft is dealing with his feelings and almost made a decision based off his feelings for Tom Brady, and they kept Brady and they traded Garoppolo. And then he wanted to keep Tom Brady. I don't think Bill Belichick wanted to. That's the difference. The brilliant businessman made all this money to buy the team, but the businessman is really Bill Belichick because Robert Kraft, his heart was getting involved in this, your feelings, and that's dangerous for an owner. Jerry Jones does this all the time. Brilliant businessman to make the money to buy the team, and then sometime Daniel Snyder, you made the money, and then you let your feelings get involved in this. And that's certainly dangerous when it comes to handing out these contracts. But Christian McCaffrey, I get why they did it. I just wouldn't want to draft it. As much as I love Saquon Barkley, I would use Saquon Barkley for the next couple of years, and then I would franchise him if I think that he is going to still be that elite running back. If not, then I move on. And then, you've made that choice. You did it once. You won't do it again. You're not going to take a running back in the top 10. I just don't see that happening. Not anytime soon. Unless somebody comes along like an Adrian Peterson, a Marshall Faulk, a Herschel Walker. Even Zeke Elliott, I wouldn't have given that deal. I wouldn't have extended that contract. But because I think that offensive line has been so good, I can spend that money elsewhere, and I can get a running back who can get me 1,000 yards behind that line. Yeah, Paul.
It's weird because it's like I don't know if it's a cycle, but it's a series of bad decisions. If you take a running back in the top 10, that means you're paying him a lot right off the bat when you can get one in the third round. And if that running back works out, you have to pay him again because that's the direction you chose. Like when you just chose Zeke Elliott, you wanted him to be an alpha back, and he did it. He did exactly what you wanted. Now you got to pay him again. Christian McCaffrey, came out to be better than advertised. People thought he wasn't going to be that great. He was great, but now you got to pay him again. You have to double down. It's like the production is there, but the financial mistake is heavy.
But that's why when you get Alvin Kamara, by the way, Alvin Kamara was on Twitch, and he was with his guys playing Twitch. He was doing a video game. This is his reaction in real time to hearing that Christian McCaffrey signed that contract.
Hey, what's your favorite Wait, pause.
What's up?
Carolina's Christian McCaffrey is signed a 4-year extension, $16 million a year.
He did?
Big bag.
Mm-hmm.
Who's reporting this?
Also,
Here I come.
Schefter.
You said what?
Hey, Alvin, what that mean for you, man?
Ooh.
Hey, man, look. I don't even, look.
I love big bag. Big bag of cash there.
Yeah, that's a big bag.
Big bag. Yeah, Alvin Kamara, get paid. But you got him in, the third round? I think if you're able to get your running back out of the first round, then you do it. Find somebody that you think that, and a lot of these college teams, a lot of these college coaches, they still believe in that running game. Ohio State always has that great running back. That's just, your success is predicated on that, or that's your belief. But it's just different now. You can have a workhorse in college, but that's not the way it works in the NFL. It worked for Derrick Henry. And without him, they don't go to the conference championship game. But, at some point, Derrick Henry is not going to be that battering ram anymore. A former scout and a former player said, once a tough running back, that style of running at you, over you, into you, once you get paid your next contract, you don't do that as much anymore. That you do it where you run straight ahead. After you get paid, you don't run straight ahead. You make a couple of moves there. And that's what I wonder. Can Derrick Henry continue to be that kind of running back? And for how long? But they franchise tagged him too, right, McLevin?
I believe they did. Did they? I'm not sure. But I have a question on the
they're
running
still
backs.
negotiating, I think, with him. But I think they franchise tagged him. But I don't know what this does to his negotiations because what happened with Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, McLevin.
Well, McCaffrey's a receiver. I saw social media, the analytics guys were killing this deal. There was a game where McCaffrey had 121 yards receiving, and they lost 29-3. Like, there seems to be a disconnect between his production and actually scoring points, which is weird with the Panthers.
Okay, how do you vote on the poll then?
I don't mind the deal because it's not that much money, and he's so young. It's $16 million. That's like wide receiver 2 money. It's not like the end of the world.
Yeah, but that position is what we're looking at. It's not, hey, let's compare him to Tyrann Mathieu, who makes $16 million a year. It's they slot you in how much you make, and how much do other running backs make.
I do agree because of his receiving. He's a top 3 or 4 running back. He's very valuable. I probably wouldn't have done it. I like what you said. I would have waited in the beginning. But he is at 23. That feels like he's almost a rookie. So
how many touches did he have at Stanford those last 2 years? Do you have 350 touches?
So you're saying he's an old 23?
Well, it catches up to you at some point. I mean, Le'Veon Bell, when's the last time somebody talked about him being a great running back? And it wasn't long ago where it was like, wow, that guy is different than anybody else in the NFL. That's it. Done. I mean, these running backs, they flame out. It's just the position. I get why they're doing it. I don't think that by the time they're successful, is Christian McCaffrey going to be there. By the time they get back to maybe being a playoff team, and you can't trade him because they weren't going to get anything in return. I think some of the reports were maybe a second-round pick if you traded Christian McCaffrey. But they were looking at this. If I was going to do a total rebuild, and then I would look at trading Christian McCaffrey. And then I would basically say, I'm going to tank. We're going to tank here. Because somebody's going to be the worst team in the NFL this year. And maybe that team is Jacksonville. Because Jacksonville can then say, oh, we were bad. We'll take Trevor Lawrence, please. Somebody is going to be the worst team in football, whether it's by design or not. And if you're this new owner, new coach, maybe that would have been the approach. Maybe you don't bring in Teddy Bridgewater. Maybe you kept Kyle Allen. Maybe you traded McCaffrey. You lose Kuechly. You lose Olsen. You don't have Cam anymore. Total rebuild. But look, we have an idea. We have a game plan here. That might be an approach here. But I don't know. It's hard to say to your fan base, hey, come on out, spend your money. And we're going to be really bad because we're going to get really good next year. Yeah, Paulie.
McCaffrey's last 2 years at Stanford, he averaged 25 carries a game at the running back position. No running back in the past 40 years in the NFL has averaged 25 carries a game.
He's a talented player, but I just at some point you say, is he worth it? Are you building around a running back? And I think the only team that's done that is Tennessee. They built around a running back, and they were successful. But Christian McCaffrey is a different type of running back. Chris Fowler will join us coming up next. We got questions. Does Chris have answers? As he said, he had informed speculation to help us with the college football season, expanding the playoffs, and when will we see football on the field with fans? We'll talk to Chris Fowler. Your phone calls are welcome. Russell Wilson a little later on, and the actor Jon Hamm will stop by. It's 20 after the hour. This is the Dan Patrick Show. Discover is helping you. And they'll do it for free. You check things all the time, like your email, your social media, Instagram. That's what we need you to do with Discover. Check your FICO credit score. Doesn't take long. And that score is used by 90% of top lenders, and it's free. Even if you're not a customer, checking your score won't hurt your credit, and you can check each month for changes. The Discover Credit Scorecard, it's free for everyone. You can learn more at discover.com/credit scorecard. Discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply.
Guys, welcome to another fun day. Welcome to another Groundhog Day. Now, there's a lot of funny stuff on the internet and a lot of posts where they air quote social distancing. And sometimes I think the jokes wear themselves out and cease to be funny, except this one. Now, I sent you an email. I want you to click on the link.
When?
Momentarily.
Okay.
Then look who sent it, and then look at the picture.
Okay.
Now. It's from Usain Bolt.
Wow.
And if you scroll down, it's him winning. I think that's might be Beijing 08.
When he's looking back.
He's at least 6 feet ahead of the next closest, fastest man in the world.
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
That's a nice one to have in your pocket.
That's pretty good.
And call that a walk-off, but that's more like a sprint-off.
Sprint-off, Fritzy, yeah. And it's not photoshopped. It's not fake. It's not CGI.
Just that he was, look, the position that he's in, right? Because he was turning around sort of like, or he was looking at the crowd, right? But
well, if you remember that race, the last 20 meters, he put his arms out and started celebrating at the 80-meter mark. And while those guys are all running, he stopped at 80. Not literally.
Stop trying, maybe.
Yes.
I mean, I remember being critical of him by saying, and I think it was one of our analysts on the Olympics, and I said, why wouldn't he run as fast as he possibly can? Otto Bolden.
Otto Bolden.
Otto. And I said, why wouldn't you run as fast as you can? Why not set an Olympic record? And he goes, he doesn't need to. Or like, why would you think that way? I'm like, oh, I don't know. I just thought run and put so much distance. It's not like Secretariat. Now, granted, it's a horse. Secretariat goes, man, I'm so far ahead of everybody here. I'm going to slow up.
What if Secretariat put a couple hooves in the air and ran on its back hooves? Hooves.
All right, so we made a big decision. We're going all in on Creamsicle. This is the great street artist, RC, who did all of this beautiful work in here. So I call him up and I say, what do you think of Creamsicle? And he goes, Creamsicle is not a color. I don't call it Creamsicle. What color is Creamsicle in your world?
So it's technically cream orange.
Cream orange.
It's just a really pastel orange.
Have you used Creamsicle before?
I use a lot of it on the trophy wall here. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, and it's like the brightest tone that you'll base up to.
Oh, okay. So when you had all the champions over there, Gretzky, Brady, Jeter, and Russell, so you used a little bit of the Creamsicle.
Yeah, cream orange. Cream orange.
Cream orange. What is the biggest challenge going to be with this?
pretty much working backwards. So that's going to be tricky because I've already got all the splatter on top. So usually I work from.
This is the splatter.
Exactly. So I mean, I'm pretty much going backwards. So it's just it's going to be a little bit different here, but we'll get it.
Do you have to paint around the splatter?
I've got to paint all around it, and then and do all the fades and get all the and then come back and clean cut everything. So.
But then you just added this.
Yeah. So that's like the base. Like that's one of the base coats of the darker orange. So that's like more of the shadow on Dan.
Oh,
See
okay.
that?
Okay. And then, so this is going to be
so
all the way through this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then you got this.
So Tom's got all the shadow and everything, and then basically I'll come into the lighter tones over here. So you'll see it. So you'll have all the shadow work and everything in there. Yeah. It's all artist talk. But,
no, I get it. I get it. Do you need any help?
No, well, if you want to help me, I wouldn't want to get.
Let me see.
No. Yeah.
So when this is done, I can say that I helped RC do this.
There you go.
See how we do that? And I like that you wore a flannel that's got...
It works. It works, right?
Just in case you spill paint on it. Today and tomorrow?
Today and tomorrow.
Okay, awesome. We'll be checking on you. Oh, that Tom Brady mural is going to look beautiful with the creamsicle. Like street artist RC did all that great work in the man cave. Came in, I said, we gotta put Brady in the creamsicle uniform. So he's going to work today and tomorrow on that. Looks beautiful. What's poll question we're going with? McLovin?
Okay, we put up was extending Christian McCaffrey a good move or a bad move?
Okay.
Early results say good move. 55% say they like it.
All right. We'll go around the room. Paul, you like it?
No, I don't like the entire concept of drafting a running back high and then have to paying him again. It defeats the purpose of low-end running backs, low-cost running backs.
Fritzy, what about you?
I understand they could have waited, but I like it. I think he's the face of the team, and I know the whole thing about the running back, and we're kind of downplaying how important a running back is these days. But I'm in on McCaffrey and paying him.
McLovin?
I don't like it because I got to stick to my guns about not paying running backs. Although I do like McCaffrey because he was so nice to us at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that shouldn't factor in with how you're voting. Seton?
Yeah, I mean, I understand the football part of it and not paying your running back, but there's plenty of quarterbacks who don't deserve the money they're getting. And, well, no one really complains about that, and they're making twice as much as Christian McCaffrey is. So, yeah, I'm all about it. Let's get the running back some dough.
Well, I'm glad he's getting paid because he's earned it, but you can't pay with what you think somebody's going or what somebody did. You have to pay with what you think they're going to do. And what is he going to be doing here in the next couple of years? And how much do you load up on McCaffrey because you're not going to be a very good team? Go to rockauto.com, all the parts your car or truck will ever need. Rockauto.com is a family business founded by automotive engineers in 1999. 2 goals in mind. First, to give people direct access to all the parts information hidden in the computers and catalogs behind the parts store counter. And second, they want to make everything affordable. They offer reliably low prices. Go to rockauto.com. Choose the part brands, prices, features you want anytime 24/7. Rockauto.com has many of the parts you've been told dealer only or no longer available. Don't waste time and money looking for these parts. They're delivered right to your home or office. Tell them we sent you. All the parts your car or truck will ever need at rockauto.com. He's the voice of college football for ESPN, ABC, and also tennis host for the mothership as well. Chris Fowler on the program. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Hi, Dan. I'm well. I'm very, very blissful, very relaxed this morning. So I've done my breathing exercises, which is a daily ritual in quarantine. So I'm relaxed. Don't talk too loudly or too quickly, and don't be angry or controversial, and we'll do just fine this morning.
Okay.
But it's a natural. I assure you, it's a natural high.
Do you watch any college football replays or anything?
Is it doing it for you? I mean,
No.
I watched the Texas USC game, the Rose Bowl Classic game, which I stood on the sidelines and watched Vince Young run to the pylon, and was the greatest game I've ever seen. So when ESPN ran that the other week, I did watch it. I have not been dialed into the Classic games. I know people are starving for it, and that's able to fill the void for them. It's not doing it for me. I am missing live sports, maybe not as much as some people or as much as I thought I was, but I am not glued to YouTube or ESPN Classic locked in. I probably shouldn't say that, but I don't know. I probably will watch some vintage Wimbledon when it gets around time to Wimbledon. I'll be missing that, and obviously, if we don't start football on time, I'll be starting for it. I'll probably watch LSU Clemson 10 times, but I haven't done a lot of that yet.
All right, let's jump into it then. You mentioned that we're 20 Saturdays away from the scheduled start of college football, and you threw out some questions there. You also said informed speculation here. So where do you want to start with the college football season?
Well, people are all over the place. There's no consensus. Just like when you hear the experts differ on how to deal with this virus going forward, there's no two people on the same page in college football. The commissioners are having these regular conversations. The coaches are doing their thing. Each athletic director has its own take depending on where they are in the country. So we're not going to know a lot for a while. I think the clarity will begin to happen during May, but I just don't get the sense that the country is going to be in the same place, and these programs and these conferences are going to be at the same place in late July, August, when you absolutely have to get players back on campus if you're going to play. And it's not what people want to hear, but I think there's severe challenges trying to start a season on time. And if you don't do that, and everybody wants, that's what you hope for. God, we hope for things. But if hope isn't a strategy unless you got truth and facts, right? We've already seen that. So what's realistic? And I don't know if it's really realistic to gather in 20 Saturdays and have a national season. I mean, you're going to have a lot of colleges online exclusively this summer. The campuses won't even be open. So how can you bring this unpaid workforce back in there and say, hey, we're playing games, without a bunch of people going, wait, why are we playing? What do we do? There's a lot of questions and not very many answers, right? The idea of a delayed season, even a season early in 21 in the spring, which seems radical to people. To others find it just undoable, but it might be a way to salvage football in the calendar, or the school year, I should say, if it can't be salvaged in the fall.
Informed speculation. Informed speculation on what in particular you were talking about?
Well, what's likely going to happen? I mean, what are the challenges to getting things up and running on time? There are a lot of them. I mean, do you think this is in the same place in New York and California and Louisiana and Texas and Ohio and Pennsylvania and Florida and Utah? I mean, we're all over the place.
Yeah.
This virus is cresting in different places in the cycle. I mean, the South really hasn't been hit yet, but do you think there's going to be states that are spared? People are viewing this in the lens of where they are and not realizing, look, 50 governors don't have to sign off for football to come back. I mean, I've been told that. Not every single athletic director and commissioner has to be exactly on the same page. But what if one area of the country is totally different from another? What if the West is ready to open up quicker, but the Northeast of the Big Ten isn't? I mean, what are you going to do? You can have a partial season? It doesn't make any sense to me. So, I mean, I know that there's going to be no perfect solution, Dan. And I know that people go crazy when they think that we can't wait until February or March. But if you need the revenue, if you operate under the assumption that these conferences have got to get on the field at some point, or the revenue loss is going to be catastrophic to the whole athletic department, not just football, then you're not dealing with ideal scenarios. You're dealing with desperation and trying to make it work. That's why.
He's Chris Fowler, the voice of college football for ESPN and ABC. I'm also wondering, though, Chris, do we minimize the regular season and maybe try to maximize postseason, and that we do make that leap from Final Four to 8 or 16?
Everything's on the table. Everything's on the table because these are such uncharted times and nobody knows what's the best thing to do. If you start the season late, let's say you're not going to be ready August, You start the season in October, November. You cut some games. You alter the postseason. I don't think there's going to be 30 bowl games played under a lot of these scenarios, but the playoffs, what's important, that's where the dollars are in the big bowls. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you could shorten the season. You could do away with the non-conference. That's been talked about, too. Everything's been talked about. All this is on the table. But I don't know. I mean, you know, the conversations that are going on in other sports are even more radical than what's going on in college football. Just in the desperation to have a baseball season, what they're talking about, what the NHL is contemplating. The NFL is going to get heavy political pressure to start on time and operate normally. And, you know, a lot of these owners will feel the financial pinch, believe it or not. I mean, they're all super wealthy. But you take away that revenue, they're going to feel the pinch if they don't have a season on time. The networks will apply their pressure. The NFL is far less complicated than college football, though. Nothing is as complicated in getting everybody together and up and running as college football. I mean, there's no central control.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem in a lot of cases.
Yeah, that's my big concern here is you don't have that one voice. You know, Adam Silver with the NBA, Rob Manfred with baseball, Roger Goodell with the NFL, and then you get to college football and you go,
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what's going on. You're having the Power 5 commissioners who are not the deciders, but they're the ones that have to get together and run the scenarios and be ready for whatever is decided. But you know, they tell me, you know, the municipalities, the states, they're the ones who shut things down, and they're the ones that are going to be turning things back on. And so you got to listen to, you know, the governors and the mayors of cities like San Francisco and New York and Chicago and Dallas, and those are the ones that are going to decide. That, you know, the states, you know, this battle back and forth we've seen play out at these briefings the last couple of days. I mean, the states are saying, wait a minute, we decided what's right for us, and the cities, in fact, specifically, we're going to decide what's right for us going forward. And that's the way it's going to be. So that's why I started with. How are you going to be on the same page? Who knows what it's going to be like when the states not yet affected really begin to build in these numbers, you know.
Well, then you have Dabo.
Why I think it's a rush to get back on the field. I mean, a lot of coaches are saying stuff that are tone deaf. So
wait, you're the one that has to breathe. You're the one that was in a Zen-like mood. Now you're getting a little riled up here.
I am.
Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath here. Well, then you have, you know, Mike Gundy, and then you have Dabo Sweeney, who are, you know, they throw this out. We're coming back, and like somehow we can. Hey, you know, the coronavirus doesn't affect us, or we're coming back May 1st. And I went, we can't have these proclamations here. We can't go rogue.
Well, no, you can't. And I think that's the thing, though, that the coaches are paid to be ready for any scenario, and they have to plan and get ready for an on-time season, because that's the first scenario that's on the table. As unlikely to some people as that seems, that's what you have to plan for. I talked to a bunch of coaches. I'm going to do another video on what kinds of programs are going to be able to come through this and thrive, and what programs are really going to struggle. What does it take within the program to weather this? And so in trying to get their opinions, it's obvious that they are preparing for an on-time season like you have to. And you have to be hopeful and optimistic. That's what coaches are. But you also have to have perspective and a sense of priorities. And these are not pro athletes, man. If your campus is closed, if your campus has said it's not ready, we're not ready for students to come back. But football players, get your butts back in here, put you in quarantine. We'll take your temperature every day. You're going to prepare to go out and perform so we can get this cash cow flowing again. Wait a minute. I mean, don't you think a lot of players are going to say, wait a minute, we won't do that. You're deciding for us a public health issue when the rest of everybody else is operating on different rules. I know they want to play. I get it. And they feel invulnerable, Dan. You know that there's no segment of society that feels more bulletproof, more able to withstand something than males aged 18 to 22.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the age group that's going to feel like we're not high risk. We're not going to get sick. If we get symptoms, we're going to kick its ass. Okay, I understand. That's your mindset. But this is so new and unique and unknowable that you just got to err on the side of caution and safety. It's an unpaid workforce. For once, let's not take them for granted and let's consider their needs. Does that just make sense?
Yeah, I get it. And you're right. 18 through 22, you're like, hey, I'm going to live forever. But,
There's a reason why in history, those are the people that you put out to fight your wars, because they're the ones that'll jump into the fray and be fearless and feel like it's not going to happen to them.
Hey, I wanted to ask you this before I let you go. You hand out the Heisman every year, and Joe Burrow won it, obviously. But what strikes you about his personality?
Extreme confidence. I have never run into anybody. He's cocky. Let's just say it. And it's okay because he went and backed it up.
Yeah.
We had the meetings before the championship game. Kirk and I both came out of it going, I have never seen a guy or a team with more supreme belief they're going to kick the ass of a really good team, the defending champs who won 20-some in a row, whose defense and defense coordinator have these proven credentials. Joe Burrow had absolutely zero doubt that game was going to unfold exactly as it did. And I thought, wow, man, and that's a leader. I know that he's not that way when you walk around him in everyday life, but you put him in game mode, and he was very much in game mode in this meeting. And he walks on the field with supreme belief. So I know what people think. He's overrated, not worthy of a top pick, got his limitations, Tua is better. I promise you, in his head and his heart, he believes there's nobody better than him. And he'll believe that he's ready from day one. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at that position. That's what strikes me about him. He is, also he's like a 40-year-old soul in a much younger body. Super, super mature, very bright. I mean, so all those things that are going to wow the teams are there.
If Tua was healthy, and you saw them both, you're the Bengals, who would you take?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I'm not in that position. Teams have flunked those questions for years. I mean, Tua throws a prettier ball. I mean, Tua it's watching him throw the ball in person for the first time is one of those wow moments. Like, I've never seen the ball come out of a guy's hand. It's beautiful. Joe doesn't throw like that. He just doesn't. He throws great ball. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, a lot of his spirals are not tight. They're not spun. They get there. He's an incredibly instinctive and incredibly accurate thrower. But what struck me when I watched him in person was he's not as pretty of a thrower with football as I thought, but he's way more athletic. Burrow is quick. He's faster than you think. He's elusive. He's instinctive. All those things are hard to quantify in a workout. But Tua throwing the ball in a workout, and I know that hip thing is something I'd be a little bit concerned about. I mean, you say 100%, but can you be sure?
No.
Most guys who have that surgery end up having hip replacement. Those are normal people, much less NFL athletes. So somewhere in his future, he's probably going to have an operation. Now, hopefully, it's after a long career. But man, I hope he's not hampered at all by that, because I just want to see him on Sundays throwing the ball the way he throws it.
Do you know that I have Carson Palmer's Heisman in my man cave?
You do?
Yeah. I asked.
You just bought it at auction?
No. He had it in his garage, and I said, well, if you're not using it, send it to me. He packed it up and sent it. So I have it in the man cave.
Like a loan, right? Like it wasn't a permanent gift. It's a loan.
He might have to come and get it.
Man.
He might have to come and get it, but he sent it.
I'm walking around. I have some like Heisman winners only swag that I wear. I thought that was cool. I don't have a trophy. I bow down to your man cave. That's amazing.
Hey, I know. Hey, great to talk to you. I hope the family is good. My best to Jen, and I'll be following you on Twitter. Thank you, bud.
Well, Instagram. Who cares about Twitter?
Oh, Instagram. My bad. Instagram.
Yeah. Send people to Instagram. It's much more. It's much better for quarantine. You can expand on things. So just. I'm off Twitter. I'm on the Instagram. Instagram. We'll do this again. I enjoyed it. Be well. Be safe.
All right. Thank you. That's Chris Fowler. We're back with our play of the day after this.
Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118 One more time for Melissa Diaz. Oh. That was hilarious. This next comedian coming to the stage, I got to meet his buddies before the show, and they said, you know what you should do? Is you should really with him. I was like, you don't have good friends. You don't have nice friends. He's absolutely hilarious. He's one of our first special guests. He hails from Brooklyn. You may know him as Fritzy from the Dan Patrick Show. Put your hands together. Welcome to the stage, the funny, the hilarious Mr. Todd Fritz.
So I'm at a sporting event the other night, and at least 3 different people come over to me asking if I'm sitting in their seats. So I don't know if it's if you guys ever deal with this, if you go to a concert, a sporting event, how difficult is to find your seats at a concert or a sporting event? Think about it. It's got all the information you need right there on the ticket. Section, row, seat number. Section, row, seat number. It's really, really not that complicated. I got these people coming over to me and saying, I think we're in the same seat. Not only are they not in my seats, they're all the way on the other side of the arena. They couldn't have been further from where I'm at. So I don't understand. Section, row, seat. Let's get it together. Just some people I just can't deal with, including my mom, by the way. My mother is just a neurotic, crazy, but she's a lovely, wonderful, beautiful person. She'd give you the shirt right off her back. Hopefully she won't do that anytime soon. She's not exactly the most fit person in the world, so you really don't need to see her with her shirt off.
Oh my God!
The play of the day.
Runner left side, got it! They're gonna play it and play it.
This is the play of the day.
Check this out. Many doubted we'd ever see it, but here it is. The return to glory. I never thought we'd see anything that could rival the hug with his father in 1997, but we just did.
That will be the greatest scene in golf forever, Jim Nance.
That hug with his children, if that doesn't bring a tear to your eye, if you're a parent, you're not human.
Sir Nick Faldo and, of course, Jim Nance. That was the call on this day a year ago. Tiger Woods returned to glory at Augusta, his 5th Masters green jacket, as he defeated Xander Schauffele, Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka by 1 stroke. Return to the Mac, Mark Morrison. That's our play of the day. Play of the day brought to you by LegalZoom. LegalZoom makes it easy to help you set up the right estate plan. You don't have to leave your home. All the information you need. Take care of your family today with the right estate plan at LegalZoom.com. You know, Chris Fowler had a great reaction to the question about, when you're seeing Joe Burrow in person. When I met him at the Super Bowl, and I went, wow, that guy's got, if I was going to say the word swag, I would attach it to him. He came in, he was confident. He's as confident as any young athlete I've ever met. Because you're just jolted by it a little bit. You're like, whoa, this guy is really, really self-assured. And so when Fowler said that, that's the same reaction I had. You come out of, he had a meeting with him and Kirk Herbstreit before the national title game. And you're like, that guy is really, really confident. And then what he said about Tua, that experience, the uniqueness of seeing and hearing that ball leave his hand is what the scouts are talking about. He throws a different type of ball. Perfect. And, that's why he's getting compared to Drew Brees. Maybe throwing it, but he's, far more athletic than Drew. And, extended play. He's different than Drew Brees. Maybe in the pocket, he throws a similar ball. I liken him a little bit more to Russell Wilson with the full package of what he's going to offer. And at the top of next hour, I have a crazy idea for the Miami Dolphins. I'll share that for you coming up. Yeah, crazy idea. That'll be at the top of next hour. Got an email here. This is from Greg, who says, 6'6", 225. My first son is 2.5. His name is Daniel, but we sometimes go by Dan. We're expecting twin boys in 2 weeks. Which two names do you like best? Paul, Todd, Seaton, Andrew. I'm going to go, his last name is Statler. And let me see, Statter, Stadter, Statter. So Paul Statter, Todd Statter. It's a lot of D's in there. Seaton. Well, Seaton, I got to do that just because how many kids are named Seaton? Andrew Statter. I'm going to go Seaton and Andrew. Yes, Seaton.
Yeah, that works. I mean, you just want to be careful because along with Seaton also comes semen, apparently.
That's just my mom.
Just want to be careful with that.
I don't know how she got to that when, she always would take inventory of the show and tell me what, she didn't like and whatever. I said something that she didn't think was true or correct. And then she'd go, how are the Danettes? I'm good. How's Seaman? I go, who's Seaman? I said his name is Seaton. Oh, okay. How's Seaman? How's Seaman? I say that to him occasionally when if I haven't seen Seaton in a while, I go, how's Seaman? All right, top of next hour. I got a crazy idea for the Miami Dolphins. I have that for you. Coming up, Dan Patrick Show. How's Seaman?
But basically, growing up, we had to cough into our pillow because if she heard any of us, my brother, my sister, or I, coughing, she'd send us right to a lab for one of those throat cultures to see if you have strep throat. So she was a little crazy with that. And I didn't find out till recently from a friend of mine that if your mom is still taking your temperature rectally when you're in high school, it's a little past the time where that's acceptable. My little sister in the room with the Etch-a-Sketch trying to make a drawing of it and everything. It's just really, really inappropriate. I can't look at Vaseline the same way. And she didn't have any good aim, so you can imagine how painful that was. But she wanted to get an accurate reading. She didn't believe in, you put it on over here, under your arm, oral. No. She has to get it right down to the 100th of a degree. She has to know if I'm 102.5, 103.1. So rectal thermometer. So she's a little nuts. Recently went to Israel. Checked out Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. Very nice time. I told my mom I was going, so she's like, oh my God, they're going to kill you there. They're going to throw rocks at you. You can't go to Israel. Isn't it like an 11, 12, 13-hour flight? And then she starts asking me all kinds of questions. She tells me I have to go find the pilot and make sure the pilot promises. This is my neurotic Jewish mother wants me to go see the pilot and have the pilot promise that the's not going to be any turbulence over the next 12 hours. That's what a 48-year-old man is supposed to go seek the pilot, knock on the cockpit door. Imagine me doing that. Can you please make sure, my mom wanted me to ask you, please make sure that we don't have any turbulence of any kind. And then she's asking me questions like, how do they know how much gas to put on a plane? They seem like interesting, neurotic, psychotic questions. I don't have the answer to these things. I would think by now in the airline industry, they've got it down pat where they know how much gas they need to put. We're not going to run out of gas in the middle of the flight up in the air. And then she said, what if the pilot falls asleep? You know, it's a 12-hour flight. What if he needs to take a nap? And I'm trying to explain her the whole process of what a co-pilot does. And it's not just one person that's responsible for 250 Hasidic Jews on El Al. But so we have a tough time with that. But she's crazy. I'm trying to explain to her that you know, there's life outside of Brooklyn, New York. She lives in her little tiny apartment. She doesn't have email. She doesn't have phones or anything. She's got no information. It's very sad. But she makes me call her every night. And if I don't call her every night, she thinks something horrible happened to me. I was living in L.A. several years ago, and she calls, and I'm in the middle of an amorous moment, let's call it, in Playa del Rey by the beach, and something I think is about to happen with this young lady friend. All of a sudden, the answering machine goes off. Hi, I don't know where you are. It's 2 o'clock in the morning here. It's 11 o'clock by you. I don't know what happened, but you know, if your face is on milk cartons tomorrow, then you'll know that you know, we're looking for you. I'm assuming you're dead because you didn't call me. So, and the young lady was about to remove articles of clothing, which was a good thing happening there. She's like, "Was that your mother?" Yeah.
Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Dan Patrick.
Do you want to hear from the Bengals?
Look, whenever you're in the conversation for the number one pick, it's obviously a dream come true.
Snap back to Joe. Looking left, design run. Quarterback draw up the middle. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
Let's bring in the Bengals head coach, Zach Taylor. Has the Bengals organization decided on who you're taking number one overall?
I think we're really comfortable with the direction we're headed.
Bringing you the biggest guests and best interviews right to your living room /office/daycare center.
Is there a scenario where you would change who you're taking?
It doesn't look that way. You know, people all the time ask me what would it take to give up that pick, and if there's somebody there that people are willing to give up a lot for, that they believe in, you know, then that really verifies what we think about those players as well.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Hour 2 on this Tuesday, Dan the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Spent some time with Chris Fowler, the voice of college football. Had some interesting things to say, and he's kind of pessimistic here on starting on time Do we expand the playoffs from 4 to maybe 8 to 16? Because you got to look at the revenue of helping out these other sports at all of these colleges. And there's a trickle-down effect with the amount of money that's made by the college football teams and how that affects the other sports as well. Are we going to be able to go to stadiums? Are you going to feel safe at stadiums? I don't think we're starting on time. And I hate to be Debbie Downer with this, but I felt this way a month ago with the NBA, with Major League Baseball. We're not starting anytime soon. If we get anything up and running by June, maybe mid-June, maybe early July, I'll feel like that's a little bit of a victory here and a victory over the virus here that allows us to feel a little bit more confident. I cannot have college football players go out on a football field and play while I'm saying to all the students, you can't come back to the university. You can't say it's safe for the football players or safer for them and not for the students. This is a physical sport. You can't do this. A classroom is not physical. Football game is. I can't put those kids out there in harm's way. I know the coach probably says this is our mentality and we fight through things like this. And the players are 18 through 22 and they go, yeah, we can do it. No. And the problem with college football is there is no singular voice there. All the other sports, we go to one voice. With college football, we don't have that voice. But Chris had some interesting things to say. Getting some reaction to what he had to say about Tua. He said, when you're in person watching Tua throw, there's nobody who throws a football like him. It's a beautiful sight. He throws a beautiful ball. And then I asked him what was the first reaction he had when he met Joe Burrow. And he goes, extreme confidence. And it's a compliment because Johnny Manziel had it. He just didn't have the work ethic and the behavior. Joe Burrow, as Chris Fowler said, he's an old soul. He's like a 40-year-old soul in a 23-year-old body. He's really confident and he's very bright. And, you have this speculation of, well, what's going to happen with the Bengals? I think the Bengals, after talking to Zach Taylor yesterday, they know who they're taking. And it makes the most sense to take Joe Burrow. If the Dolphins would blow them away with 4 first-round draft picks, if I'm the Bengals, I would do it. But I have to have confidence in my scouting department that we will use those picks wisely. And if we still want to get our quarterback, I would be fine with those draft picks and Andy Dalton is my quarterback for another year. I would. If you think Joe Burrow is, he's Andrew Luck, he's John Elway, he's Joe Montana, he's going to be Tom Brady, then you ignore everything. If you don't think that Justin Herbert and Tua are in the same category or Tua isn't in the category because of the hip, then okay. I would be taking Joe Burrow if I'm the Bengals. That every team wants to have that quarterback. Find your quarterback. You find your quarterback and then you build out. It's really hard to build out and then come back in and go, but yeah, who's our quarterback? Because if you don't have a quarterback, you're not winning a championship. You can compete, but you would be an aberration. Like what happened with the Titans last year was based on a great running back, and you had a really good head coach, a well-coached team, and they followed a game plan. It wasn't because of Ryan Tannehill. Kansas City had Patrick Mahomes. You got to find that quarterback. And you find the quarterback, you'll find nirvana. And if the Bengals, if it's going to be a couple of years here. But take Joe Burrow, you got your quarterback, now you build around him. So here's my crazy idea. Crazy idea about the Miami Dolphins. You got the 5th pick overall. Remember, all last year, you're tanking for Tua. You traded away Minkah Fitzpatrick. Laramie Tunsil, trade him away, you got all these draft picks. So you got 3 first-round draft picks here. I know this sounds crazy, and I preface it by saying it's crazy. If I'm the Miami Dolphins, I don't do anything crazy here. I wouldn't take a quarterback this year. How about I trade down from that 5th pick? Now I get another first-round pick. Maybe I get another first-round pick the following year. Maybe I'm now in the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. And I've got draft picks, and I still have a decent infrastructure there. From what they did last year, they played hard. They beat the Patriots in New England, final regular season game. Brian Flores, by all accounts, appears to be a emerging coach. Maybe a star coach. But I'm not sure about Tua. That's it. I'm not sure. Now, 5 years from now, you may say, "Oh, God, you guys passed on Tua." Okay, but you're not. If you're not sure about Tua, then don't take Tua, or don't take Justin Herbert because you're not sure about Tua. Use your draft picks and build. Imagine if you got, let's say you wanted CeeDee Lamb and Henry Ruggs and a lineman, or one of the good cornerbacks there. The impact they're going to have is probably going to be profound. And then they're on rookie deals. Then I get my quarterback to come in. Now I got a chance to do something really special. And the Patriots, not in a free fall, but in a little bit of a reload, maybe not rebuild. Buffalo's still good. The Jets are still the Jets. But if you're not sold on Tua, then don't take a quarterback. And maybe somebody wants to go up and get that quarterback. Yes, McLovin.
I love everything you're saying.
Oh, you
I'm
do?
so on board.
Oh.
Oh my God.
Oh, okay.
You convinced me. I would have never thought that until now. But you're not really saying tank for Trevor necessarily. Because they could be pretty good the way you described.
Yeah, they could be. But if I'm not sure on Tua, then I don't want to get involved in this. Well, we got to take a quarterback. I would stay with Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I would ride that out. It's like if you said to the Bengals, "Hey, you can get 4 first-round picks for Joe Burrow," and I'm not sold on Tua or Justin Herbert, I go, "All right, here's your 4 picks. I'll take Andy Dalton, who's still under contract for another year." But I have to have confidence in the people doing the drafting. That's it. And if I have confidence in that, then I'm okay with this. But if you're sold on Joe Burrow, then take Joe Burrow. If you're sold on Tua, take Tua. But as Chris Fowler said, and he watched these games, he was calling these games, and he said, and I said, if Tua's healthy, and he goes, "Yeah, that's tough. That's really a tough decision." So it's that close, but I'm not sure about Tua, and therefore I would not take Tua because I'm just not sure. And I haven't seen the medicals. All I can go by is a source saying, I want to see what he does on a big board there, diagramming plays. How is he in the interview process? And I must see the medicals. Well, if I can't have him in person, it's a big risk to do that. Whereas I think that I could build my team in a better way. And that's just me taking a wild stab at what, the scenarios could be. Because you're hearing, well, the Dolphins want Justin Herbert. It's a smokescreen. They'll take Tua. They want to give the impression that the Chargers have to make a move up. And, okay, all of this stuff. Imagine if the Chargers move up to 3. Like, I'm already on record. If I'm the Lions and I'm sold on Tua, I would take Tua this year. Because then I have him 1 year under Matthew Stafford, and then I trade Matt Stafford to a team that'll want a veteran quarterback the following year, and maybe he's the final piece to the puzzle. I mean, imagine if you had Matthew Stafford in Tennessee. You put him with that team. That's a different team. Now it's formidable there. But, I just look at all the different possibilities that you could have here. It may go, according to form here. And okay, that's fine. But if you're thinking out of the box with this and you're Cincinnati, what do you do? At what point do you go? Because everybody has a price. At what point do you go, we can't pass that up? I don't think Miami should be spending 4 first-round draft picks to go get Joe Burrow because I got to build a team as well. Find your quarterback, absolutely. But what kind of team do I have when he gets there as well? And that's where don't be spending more. The Bears did this. Teams do this all the time. They move up. They spend a lot of their draft capital to move up, and then they can't build around that quarterback. So you got to be smart. And that would be just, a suggestion I would have for the Miami Dolphins. What if you don't take a quarterback, but you can trade down and get a couple of first-round draft picks? That would be fun. All right, some phone calls here. By the way, you can watch on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show. The big German during the last live look-in was playing Fritzy at Caroline's. And we've had some people, please stop playing that. Please, it's too painful. And here's one from Paul in Michigan. Give us a warning the next time. Today I had some time in the morning and decided to watch live, but I couldn't fast forward through Fritzy's stand-up routine during the break. What year was that time?
Was that like 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Are you bothered by it at all?
Actually not. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I know it wasn't my greatest performance ever, and not far from it, but getting the opportunity which you provided for me to perform like in LA and New York and Atlanta and Minneapolis, just going up there, bomb or not, to have the confidence to go up there and perform where some of the greatest legends have been on that stage, that was enough for me. It would have been an added nice bonus if I would have got some laughs. That's obviously the
well,
goal.
You know what? I was just watching again, and you hear me laugh and you hear Seton laugh.
You did try to help.
Yes, I did.
And
you didn't even get a courtesy laugh. And normally you get a courtesy laugh in those comedy places. Yeah. Yeah, Paul.
You could also hear the air conditioning kick in. It was a hot night in the city, and you hear the AC go.
The little buzzing sound that kind of threw me off.
Okay, if you were ranking, where does you were on the stage at Caroline's? You did 4 stand-ups, 4 stand-up specials.
New York was definitely in the fourth,
like Chappelle
spot.
Yeah. So is that Caroline's is 4th?
Caroline's would be 4th. I'd say maybe LA 3rd, Atlanta 2, Minnesota, where I did my first one, where you think that might be the worst. I was up there just riffing for about 17 minutes, and I thought that went
Does anybody want to hear section row seat? Paulie does, Seton does?
Maybe we have judged too quickly. We should revisit. Like a bottle of wine that you...
Okay. All right. Oh, gosh. I walked into the control room with the big German and Dylan were back there, and I go, oh, no. And they go, we've never heard this. I go, I'll wait and come back. There wasn't any laughter.
Oh.
Here is section row seat Fritzy at Caroline's.
So I'm at a sporting event the other night, and at least 3 different people come over to me asking if I'm sitting in their seats. So I don't know if it's if you guys ever deal with this, if you go to a concert, a sporting event, how difficult is to find seats at a concert or a sporting event. Think about it. It's got all the information you need right there on the ticket. Section, row, seat number. Section, row, seat number. It's really, really not that complicated. I got these people coming over to me and saying, I think we're in the same seat. Not only are they not in my seats, they're all the way on the other side of the arena. They couldn't have been further from where I'm at. So I don't understand. Section, row, seat. Let's get it together. Just some people I just can't deal with.
That's good. That's good. That's enough. That's good enough.
I got to get my comedy act together.
Why?
Just playing off of what I said there when I said.
You don't even address the crowd. You just get up and you go, so I'm in a sporting event. And then you go into it, and then I could tell you went blue early. You're 10 seconds in, you went blue.
I'm not established enough to go up there and just start doing my thing without saying hi to the crowd.
Yes. And then all of a sudden, I realized that your punchline, there was no laughter. And I gave you a courtesy laugh. Like, I tried to laugh a little bit louder. Like,
then I slipped into a little bit of a dice. What's wrong with these people?
Yeah,
why do they think I'm sitting in their seat?
Seton, you were hiding your face.
Yeah. It's just unfortunate to see our buddy up there just dying a slow, painful death.
But it's very jarring when there's no sound. When you're supposed to have some kind of giggle or laughter or something. When it's dead silent, like you're in a library and you're performing what's supposed to be some kind of comedy routine. It's enough to make you want to leave.
You know what you should do is you should say that you were quarantined, and that's why there was no laughter. So you.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yes, Paul.
Remember we had the great comedian David Spade listen to it and judge it? And I think Fritzy's setup is great. I think he's got a great concept for a bit there, because everyone has it in common. You go to a sporting event, someone taps you on the shoulder, you're in my seat. But then it was never followed up by any jokes and observations that made it funnier. It never went.
Because the trick is observational humor. If you don't have the latter, you're just making random observations.
Yeah, you did have observation. You just didn't have humor. Yes, McLovin.
I actually completely disagree with Fritzy. I find finding your section row and seat to be one of the most difficult, baffling things in the world, especially older stadiums. I wander around, like, walk out of the Coliseum and tell me it's easy to find section row and seat. I don't think it's easy at all. Just saying.
Okay, wait, you don't like the setup for the joke?
No, I just disagree with it. It's easy. Like you go out in the Barclays Center, I still like because once you get past the thing, you don't know if you're going to have to go left or right.
Yeah, but you didn't laugh when he was delivering.
Right, because I totally disagree with him. He's saying it's super easy to find your section row seat because there was no. Well, I didn't laugh because there was no joke because you never got to the.
Oh, okay.
He's against the whole concept of what I was trying to find a joke with.
All right, okay. By the way, I mentioned the big news yesterday that we have started the process. RC, the great street artist who did all the artwork here in the man cave, he is putting Tom Brady in the creamsicle uniform, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers creamsicle uniform, and looks great. It's sort of half and half. He's got the creamsicle and then the Patriot helmet. It's a 2-day process, and he's joining us here in the man cave for that to complete that. So. Looks beautiful. Looks gorgeous there. All right, we got a poll question, McLovin. Are we staying with Christian McCaffrey and his contract?
Okay, 70% like the contract extension. I've asked this question before as a possible poll question. Would you rather have the best running back in the league or the 10th best wide receiver? Sort of gauging which is more valuable.
Well, give me the 10th best receiver.
Let's say it's Mike Evans, or maybe he's too good. Let's say Mike Evans of the Bucs.
I can have Christian McCaffrey or Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Well, I need to know what kind of team I have. I don't think you can extract somebody out and say that's the running back, because I think that's hard to do, McLovin, because who is my quarterback? If Jameis Winston's my quarterback with Mike Evans, then I might go with Christian McCaffrey. But then who is my supporting cast with Christian McCaffrey?
There were some interesting questions on Twitter. How come McCaffrey wasn't a slot receiver? Because he's such an amazing receiver. He probably would have gotten paid more off the bat. I thought that was interesting. Why not play him there and put somebody else at running back? Because he's so hard to cover out of the backfield.
Well, I think he's too good at being a running back. And like you can't just put him out there and have Curtis Samuel as your running back. Yeah. Yeah, Paul.
McLovin's saying like the 15th best wide receiver or the best running back. Okay, would you rather have Devontae Adams of the Green Bay Packers, McLovin, or Saquon Barkley on your team?
Devontae Adams.
Same price?
Oh, my God. Devontae Adams, is he the 15th best? I feel like he's
in receptions, he was 15th.
Right, yeah. I'd take Devontae Adams every day.
I wouldn't. Because it feels like Saquon Barkley can still do something. Devontae Adams, he needs help to do what he does. A wide receiver needs help to do what he does. Whereas it feels like McCaffrey, some of these guys can do some of these running backs can do things on their own. I think what happened is we look at Todd Gurley and we go, we're never paying a running back like that. Or Leonard Fournette. And Fournette's up for his deal, isn't he? Did they franchise him?
I don't think they have yet. I think he's yet to be paid. I got to check.
Jeremy in Texas. Hey, Jeremy.
Morning, guys. How's it going? Always love listening to y'all. A question on Christian McCaffrey's deals. Why doesn't the NFL do what the NBA does and have max contracts per position? Position players need max contracts plus incentives. That way you avoid the whole, does he deserve this or deserve that? If it's a profit-sharing thing that the owners have to give out to everybody, I get that. Then we shouldn't even be arguing about how much a player is getting paid, especially if they're a franchise player like Christian McCaffrey.
Well, we've given the suggestion, and the owners actually discussed it, this contract, the contract talks that they had, and that is you have a special salary, a slotted salary for quarterbacks that you can pay them what you want, and then you had everybody else. But look, Christian McCaffrey is getting paid commensurate to what he does at that position. Tyrann Mathieu makes the same amount of money as Christian McCaffrey does. The value that Christian has to his franchise far exceeds Tyrann Mathieu. But the position you're playing, and that's where running backs are the lowest paid position. But they used to be the most valued position. They were far more valuable than the quarterbacks were at one point. But I get why they did it. I wouldn't have given him they don't have guaranteed contracts in the NFL like they do in the NBA. I mean, they have them, but not the NBA. You're locked into somebody and you got to pay him $150 million. But with Christian McCaffrey, I get why you're paying him because there's nobody else to show up and watch with that team this year. No one. And he has proven that he is, if not the best, he's certainly in the top 3 running backs in the NFL. Yeah, Paul.
Something that McLovin mentioned earlier is that David Tepper is supposedly a genius businessman, but the obvious to everyone is that the running back position, you would not do this financially. It doesn't make sense that a billionaire genius financial guy would look at the running back position and overpay for that position.
But maybe this isn't about analytics.
Right.
This is about understanding the personality of your team and the fan base, because you don't want to be going in there and going, hey, I'm the new owner here, got a new coach, Cam's gone, Luke Kuechly's gone, Greg Olson's gone, and we're not going to pay Christian McCaffrey. That's not going to go over well. But you can't trade McCaffrey and get anywhere near the value. Like Leonard Fournette, I would just have him play out this contract, and that's it. He's his 3rd year in, because that was the same draft with McCaffrey. There's no way I want Leonard Fournette after 5 years. Yeah, McLovin.
I was thinking about something you said earlier. Who else are the Panthers going to pay? Like, they got to get to a floor of the salary. Like, I don't even know if they have to give the money to somebody. Why not McCaffrey, right? Because there's nothing else there to pay, is there?
No. Well, you got Teddy Bridgewater, but I think they got Teddy Bridgewater, that seems to be a workable salary there. But you're right, with Cam off the books. I don't know, did they take a hit salary cap-wise with Cam's contract?
Yes.
I don't know if Kuechly retiring, I don't know if they take a hit on that. So they might have some dead money there. But if I'm Carolina, maybe you're in the position that you're going to be bad and you get Trevor Lawrence next year. I mean, my approach would be that way if I'm Carolina. I guess you want to entertain the fans this year with Christian McCaffrey. If by chance you get Trevor Lawrence and you still have Christian McCaffrey and 3 years left on his deal to go with Trevor Lawrence, okay. That's workable, and maybe that's what the game plan here. All right, we'll take a break. Phone calls coming up, 877-3DP-SHOW. Email address, dp@danpatrick.com. Twitter handle at DP-SHOW. You can get them while they're hot. The Tampa Bay T-shirts, go to danpatrick.com. The pre-lawsuit, pre-cease and desist sale that's going on now at danpatrick.com. All right, take a break. 23 after the hour. Your phone calls coming up next here on the Dan Patrick Show. You check things all the time, email, social media, check something important, your credit. Discover makes it quick and easy, and best of all, it's free. Discover's now offering the FICO credit scores. That's the score used by 90% of top lenders, and you get that for free, even if you're not a customer. Checking your score won't hurt your credit either, and you can check each month for changes. The Discover Credit Scorecard. And ask about the Discover Credit Card itself. The credit scorecard free for everyone. Learn more at discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply.
But that's part of the problem is I didn't go away for college. I stayed, I went to NYU. I grew up in Brighton Beach, Brooklyn, which was a nice experience. Problem is trying to bring women home. She had the open door policy. I don't know if you remember Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the open door policy. So anytime there was a woman in the room, and I'm like 19, 20 years old, and the door has to stay open, she's coming in with cookies and pies and stuff just to make sure, God forbid, I'm like, I can't get or anything like that. We got to make sure. Let's make sure that we're just, doing our homework and doing our research paper. So we get to Israel, and I purposely spend the extra money. I splurge once in a while. We have 2 kids, a lovely son and daughter, and we got 2 rooms. So God forbid we have some alone time together. So we got me and my wife in one room, the kids in the other room, and very expensive trip. And 3-4 days go by. Nothing even close to sexual happening. So I make my move, and my wife gives me a look like I'm some kind of stranger in an alley. You would think we're married 18 years, pretend. And granted, it's not, when you're wearing the CPAP machine with the severe obstructive sleep apnea that I have, I know it's not the sexiest thing, but you got to look past these things. So I try to explain to her, you know what? Get past the sleep apnea. I know it doesn't look hot with the tube and the little aquarium with the distilled water, but I have issues. I got a weight problem. I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, I have severe obstructive sleep apnea. Not sleep apnea, severe obstructive sleep apnea, which means my breathing, if you're not familiar, don't start Googling it now. It'll be rude. Don't take your phones off. But basically, your breathing stops many times throughout the course of an hour, and I guess you could potentially drop dead in your sleep, which is kind of not the most romantic thing either. So I go over to her, and I said, okay, well, since we spent all this money on 2 rooms, so she goes, we can't fool around. So I'm like, what do you mean we can't fool around? She's like, the kids are in the next room. I said, that was the whole idea behind getting two of them. They're in the next room. They're in the other room. We have some privacy now. We can do so. Nothing happens. A week and a half goes by. We're on a kibbutz. We're in Jerusalem. We're in Tel Aviv. And I don't think she even accidentally grazed my with her elbow. Nothing happened. Nothing. A lot of masturbating going on. We'll get back to that. So then we get home, and it's a few days later, still nothing. Got calluses all over my hands, which I'm not going to show you guys now. Saturday night, it's like 10:30. She's spending a lot of time in the bathroom. So I'm thinking, wait, maybe she's putting on some lingerie. She's getting herself all ready. Something Victoria's Secret related. Maybe she's putting on a costume. Maybe we can have some kind of role playing is going on. She comes out of the bathroom, and again, in the back of my mind, I'm like, a couple of weeks has gone by. We did nothing in Israel. I feel like, we owe it to each other, or at least I feel like I'm owed some type of intimacy. And she comes out, she's got this big, thick robe on, warm compress on her head. I think she's got migraine headache medication that she's holding. She's got a limp. I don't know where she got injured. I don't recall. Maybe when we were walking up and down the steps of Masada, she tripped on whatever it was. She's limping now. She's got a cough, and she's got like a backache. She's got a chastity belt on. They still have those, chastity? I don't know. You can find all kinds of wild things on eBay. I don't know where she got that, but basically it made it very, very clear that there's just no way that we're going to be able to do anything tonight. So anyway, long story short, I put on the TV, find some adult entertainment to get me through the night. She wants to know why the bed's rocking back and forth. So all of a sudden she's getting all figured out. She's the FBI director. She's Scotland Yard is trying to figure out, wait a second, there's a guy getting a on the TV. The bed's rocking back and forth. There's a big thing of lube on the bedside table. My pants are, by my knees, so there may be some self-gratification going on. She tells me that I'm a sex addict. So let me get this straight. If I want my played with more than twice a month by someone other than myself, that's a sex addict. I got to go to some facility where they're going to attach electrodes to me, run some blood work. I don't know what they do at these sex addict clinics, but she thinks I'm a sex addict. Because I got to tell you guys, if that's the definition or remotely the definition of a sex addict, let's all hop on the bus. We're heading to rehab. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great night.
Todd Fritz, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Yeah. Oh. His boss is back there looking at it like, well, he's not leaving work anytime soon. Guess we don't have to give him that raise. Todd Fritz, one more time for me, you guys. Very funny. No, he did a great job. That was only his second time on stage, and this is not easy. He did a fantastic job. One more time, Todd Fritz.
The former NFL lineman and occasional host of this show, Ross Tucker, is going to join us here in a moment. I think he likes the Christian McCaffrey deal. Look, not that I'm against it. I understand why they're doing it. I don't want to spend money on a running back if I don't have to. Let's take the player himself out of this and just put in the position itself, running back. It's like Le'Veon Bell wanted all that money from the Steelers, and they wisely said no. And they put in James Conner, and that was good enough for them. And the Jets, you don't talk about Le'Veon Bell anymore. You just have a certain window here. Like Zeke Elliott, I wouldn't have paid him that second contract. How many running backs work out second contract? I don't want to pay you, for what you did. I got to pay you for what I think you'll be for our team. And maybe, Carolina, that owner couldn't get rid of Christian McCaffrey, even though everybody else, the marquee guys, are gone. I get that. But that kind of money, it's not the end of the world type money. But at that position, I just get a little nervous. Ross Tucker joining us on the program. Ross Tucker podcast. And let me see. What else do you have here? Countdown to the draft. That's You Better, You Bets. Countdown to the draft available on radio.com app. And Ross joins us on the program. Hopefully I got that introduction correct. But you like this McCaffrey deal?
So the introduction was great, Dan. Thank you. Great to talk with you. I like it for Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
As for the Panthers, listen, Dan, he had unbelievable leverage here. I mean, unbelievable leverage. First of all, okay, they just lost Luke Kuechly to retirement. They cut Cam Newton, and they moved on from Greg Olsen. He's not just the face of the franchise, Dan. He's the only face on the team that the fans even recognize right now. So you've got your best player, and he is absolutely that, the face of the franchise with a new head coach. And the number one thing that Matt Rule does not want in August, when hopefully we have training camps and he's in front of his football team for the first time, the last thing he wants is for his best player and face the franchise to not be sitting in that room. And every day he's being asked by the media about the Christian McCaffrey holdout. And here's the thing. He was going to hold out, Dan. I mean, look, this is the first kid that ever skipped the bowl game, the Sun Bowl, 3 years ago. His dad played in the NFL. They know what the deal is. They know he's eligible for a contract now, and they know his unprecedented usage the last 2 years. He wasn't playing until he got this, and the Panthers knew it.
Yeah, but why don't I wait for one more year? Because I don't have to give it to him now. It's a 4-year and then that 5th year option, right?
Yeah, well, by that argument, if you're talking straight business of football, right, you could argue have him play this year out, then have him on the 5th year option in 2021, then franchise him in 2022. And if we're just talking about maximizing the business from the salary cap portion of it, then I get that. But the reality is he wasn't going to show up, Dan. And they know that. And they know that he knows the business. And they got the coronavirus going on. They're trying to have people renew their season tickets for a lot of different reasons. He sells over half the jerseys down there. They just decided, and by the way, we don't know what the structure of it is. It's 4 more years at the end of this deal, by the way. They didn't rip up his final 2 years. It goes through 2025. So they still have him for the next 2 years on that other deal. They just gave him some bonus money now, and let's see what the structure is. But they know that he wasn't going to show up, and neither the owner nor the head coach wanted to deal with that.
So it's a 6-year deal, and he'll be 29, I think, when this is done. Which, as much as when you're a running back and you're good, then they give you more touches, which puts you more in harm's way because you're so good. If you're a great defensive back, nobody throws it your way. But a running back, I got to load you up and give him 400 touches. At some point, can I just move him in? And, he becomes a slot receiver instead of a run. At some point, I have to try to get my money out of this, and that's what I think Carolina is going to face here at some point.
Yeah, and I did a lot of work on this, Dan, because I wrote about this 3 weeks ago for The Athletic. I wrote an open letter to Christian McCaffrey saying you have to hold out. Maybe they both read it. I don't know. But here's what's crazy. He played 93% of the snaps last year for Carolina. There's only 3 running backs that played more than 75% of the snaps.
Yeah.
Saquon, Zeke, and Leonard Fournette. And then you look at, Leonard Fournette was second with 88% of the snaps, but he played 138 fewer plays than McCaffrey. That's like 3 games. In fact, only Fournette and Zeke had more than 805 snaps, whereas McCaffrey had over 1050, which means he was on the field for over 250 more plays than everybody but Zeke and Fournette. Dan, that for most running backs, that's like 6 or 7 games. The guy played essentially an extra half season from every other guy at his position. They ran him into the ground last year. It's not just how many touches he had, it's just how many plays he's out there. Because even if you're not getting a carry, right, you still have to take on a blocker. You're still out there hitting somebody doing something. And his usage is off the charts. I've never seen anything like it, which is another reason why he was not going to play this year, especially with them having to use him again this way unless he got this money.
We're talking to Ross Tucker, former NFL lineman. So if McCaffrey wasn't going to show up, does that mean Mahomes or Watson or Dak aren't showing up either?
I think they should strongly consider it, especially Deshaun Watson, when you look at the disaster of a GM he has down there in Houston and what's going on with the Texans. You are eligible for a new contract after your third year. And these teams can all decide whether or not they want to try to string it out and play hardball like the Cowboys are. But then the players themselves on the other side can decide how they're going to handle it. It just came out that Dak's not going to show up because he's not a signed player for the virtual offseason. So now you're going to have all these meetings, and starting quarterback's not a part of any of these meetings. Now, it almost benefits the Cowboys that it's virtual, because if they were really having these meetings with a new head coach and Mike McCarthy, who's going to have some tweaks to Kellen Moore's offense, and you're starting quarterbacks there, it's almost like, what's the point? Well, I mean, what's the point of even having the meetings if the guy who by far is the most important person to be in the meetings isn't there? So both sides have leverage that they can use. I think both Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. My suspicion, Dan, is that both Watson and Mahomes are waiting for the other one.
Yes.
To sign for $40 million first.
They're waiting for Dak, and then it'll be Watson and Mahomes to see who gets to 40 first.
I agree. I think that's what's going on there. Whereas McCaffrey realizes he cannot go out there. What's really interesting, too, Dan, about the running back position, there's a bunch of other guys in McCaffrey's draft class, right? So Aaron Jones from the Packers, Alvin Kamara, Saints, Dalvin Cook, Vikings, all very good players, similar to McCaffrey. Probably not quite as good as McCaffrey, but very similar. But they're not nearly in the same situation because none of those guys have the same usage. None of those guys are the faces of their franchise. They don't have a new head coach. So it's going to be really interesting because all of those guys, their agents are going to argue that they should get $16 million a year as well. And those teams are going to laugh. I mean, like the Saints, Vikings, and Packers, they're not giving those guys close to what McCaffrey just got from the Panthers because the situations are so unique.
All right, I'll leave you with this. I started the top of this hour, and I said, look, this sounds crazy. Maybe it is crazy. But if I'm the Miami Dolphins, and I'm not completely sold on Tua, and I can't trade up to get Joe Burrow, why don't I just go into this season with Ryan Fitzpatrick, use those draft picks, maybe trade back for somebody who wants to move up, and then I sort of reassess where we are as a team. And are we in the sweepstakes for Trevor Lawrence next year? But if I have 3 first-round draft picks right now, if I can get another one and have 4 in the first round, I got wide receivers galore. I got offensive linemen galore. I got a couple of great defensive backs that maybe I can get 4 starters out of this draft, and I have Ryan Fitzpatrick if I'm not sold on Tua. What do you think of that philosophy?
Well, I agree with you that I don't think that they should take either Tua or Justin Herbert if they're not sold on them. I don't know that anybody would want to trade up to 5 at that point because I think the Chargers will just take either Herbert or Tua after that. So I don't know if they'd be able to trade down and get extra picks, maybe.
Okay.
But I think your point remains, which is don't force it. The irony of this whole thing, Dan, is that everyone you talk to in Miami, the plan was basically to be the worst team in the NFL this year so they could get Tua. But 2 things happened. Number 1, Tua got hurt and Joe Burrow was unbelievable. And number 2, for some unknown reason, they signed Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's like the anti-tanker. You don't get Fitzpatrick if you're trying to lose, okay? So, but what's crazy about it is because of Tua hurting his hip, and because of Fitzpatrick winning 5 games or whatever, they still might be able to get the guy that everybody thought they were going to get before the year started at number 1. They still might be able to get him at number 5. It's a shame. I wish it wasn't this way, Dan. But in 2 years of college football, the guy broke his hand, had 2 ankle surgeries that Alabama invented that I'd never heard of before, had a hip surgery. Like, I would love to talk to like an insurance actuary dude What are the odds that he's going to stay healthy in the NFL?
I know.
They're not good.
I know. Those guys who are injured in college, they get injured in the pros. It follows them in there. It just does. There's a track record with them. Hey, it's great to talk to you as always. We appreciate your time and great stuff. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely. See you guys.
That's Ross Tucker. He just, I know he went to Princeton, but he doesn't sound like he went to Princeton because he'll give you that, yeah, nice, all right.
He screams Big Ten.
Oh, but he's very bright. And I love, his tweets, but he does give you that, yeah, all right.
I'll be on the show.
That's exactly like the thing I was thinking about before.
Take a break. Phone calls are coming up. A busy final hour. Jon Hamm, handsome, and Russell Wilson Jr. III. Have you guys seen Russell dancing with Sierra in the hallway of their house?
Yep. It's pretty good.
She's preggo. She's spectacular dancing. I mean, really spectacular. It's really well done. And I love Russell. Like quarterbacks are a game manager. Russ is a dancing video manager. Like he's not really dancing, but he's sort of like Greg McElroy at Alabama.
Just there.
Trent Dilfer with the Ravens. Not doing anything wrong, not getting involved in anything, but just sort of there as a dance manager. And he does a great job as a dance manager with Sierra. You don't want to get in the way of that. Take a break. Back after this.
Hey, what's up? We're here at Norman's Rare Guitars. I'm here with the owner, Norm. Norm, first of all, this place is incredible. I saw a video once, Joe Bonamassa's house, and he had a room, like one room was just filled with amps, another room has all of these guitars. It kind of reminds me of this. Is this sort of like, that's his personal collection?
I've known Joe since he was 12.
Yeah.
And he's been a customer of mine. Actually, a lot of the stuff you see at his house came from me. I've sold Joe so many guitars and so many great amps and all that.
Original Gibson Flying V?
He's got two of them.
Two of them?
And there were only 91 made, and they're really big dollar guitars. And in fact, this is a reissue of the Flying V that I sold him.
Okay.
They didn't go over very well when they first came out, because in 1958 it was too futuristic. But that's what makes the original one so rare and so sought after and valuable.
The original Flying V that you sell to Joe Bonamassa goes for?
Over $250,000.
$250,000. Are each of them? He's got two.
Yes.
Each
of them, yes.
So this is the secret stash. This is where they're...
These are mostly our memorabilia and celebrity-owned guitars here. There's some stuff from Tom Petty, Melissa Etheridge. There's a bunch of stuff, Los Lobos, Richie Sambora. I've got a bunch of stuff from Richie.
Oh, dude, this is awesome.
You know, Incubus. And then these are like really, high-end acoustic guitars and electric guitars, just some really spectacular stuff.
How do you end up with a guitar like that? Do you go find it, or does it come, does it find its way to you?
Now, a lot of stuff finds its way to me, but in the old days, I would fly all over the country buying collections, going to trade shows. Yeah. I never let any lead kind of go unfollowed.
Right, right, right.
This is probably my prime piece that I think is really, really cool. This was Tom Petty's guitar that he used out on tour with Bob Dylan in '87. All this stuff I've gotten directly from the artist, so it's not like hearsay gotten from somebody else that it's supposedly, these are bona fide and documented and all that.
So how long have you been in business?
I've been in business here since 1975, in this location since 2000. A lot of it came by accident. I was in a band that I was mainly a Hammond organ player, and I had two guys that played guitar and bass, and they switched off on bass, but neither one of them had a bass. I found an ad in the newspaper where this guy was selling an old Fender jazz bass. I ended up buying it and saying, listen, I'll learn to play bass and I'll buy it and you guys can switch off in the meantime. And it turned out all these people in town were like going, well, how much you want for this thing? And I kind of put 2 and 2 together and figured out I can actually make money buying and selling this stuff.
Yeah.
Office of Investigations, Labor, Racketeering, and Fraud. Whoa. James Buck, Special Agent? Thank you. And he said, suck it, back row. All right. I'm going to keep James's card. I might need that at some point. But that looks pretty serious right there. All right. What else do we have here? Let's see. Cleaning out my parents' attic. Found a box of old baseball cards. And it's, the Big Show trading cards that I did with Keith Oberman with Sammy Sosa. So that's Caleb Williams, head men's basketball coach, University of Northwestern Ohio. I don't think they recruited me at University of Northwestern Ohio. Let me see, what else do I have? All right. This is, wow, this is a Man Meat Madness bracket. This is from Sean Stiffy. So Sean Stiffy sends me a Man Meat bracket.
I gotta get on that. I have like a cue in my ear.
So it's Sean Stiffy for a Man Meat bracket.
He should be the commissioner.
I was opening up some mail. I get a lot of patches here that from, I got one from the FBI, and I got, so many from around the country. And feel free, if you have patches from fire departments or EMS, or I'd love to be able to fly your colors here. I also got an envelope from a guy named Sean Stiffy. And Sean Stiffy sent me in the Man Meat brackets for 2020. So it's basically all of the good-looking guys in Hollywood, and he had a bracket breakdown. And so Sean Stiffy sent that in, and the first annual Stiffy Awards, Ryan Reynolds was your winner in 2020.
I don't know where Sean went to college, but Stiffy.
Hey, Stiffmeister, Stiffinator.
What are you walking in with?
Hey, are you walking in with Stiffy?
Oh, dear. It's too easy. It's like T-ball.
So happy to see everybody.
Yes. People said that I'd rather watch Fritzy doing a live stream concert as Bruce Springsteen than the stand-up act. Springsteen did a live stream concert from his home. Maybe, how about a live stream stand-up act, Todd?
Ooh.
Put it on YouTube. We could put it on the channel.
Something to consider.
Are you interested in that?
I'd have to actually get some material together.
Oh, now you're going to get material. Now, all these years, you're going to get
why bother now?
Don't you have a blank notepad from all these years with all the new material?
Great.
Yeah, that'll be good. All right, couple of phone calls here. Jeff in Detroit. Hi, Jeff. What do you have for me?
What up, though, Dan? Chat row will be on that, man. We would love to see Fritzy stand up. Listen, I need your help with the best and worst of the weekend. Now, I look at you. You give me good advice on certain things. My best of the weekend was Good Friday came. I have a best friend of 47 years. I took some DVDs and some pizzas over there. Worst of the weekend, I get a call at about 4 o'clock in the morning, and his wife asked me where did her husband get this Ain't Good Times DVD with all of these X's on it. And I'm like, I don't know. I have no clue. So then he's in the background. I don't look at stuff like that, this, that, and the other. I don't know where he would get that from. And calls me back Sunday morning talking about, my bad, man. She snuck up on me. Now, do I throw him under the bus or do I just let it ride and take the punches?
You take the punches.
Okay, I done already took a couple of lumps for that one, man. My goodness, he just threw me straight under the bus.
Thank you, Jeff. Always great to hear from Jeff. I don't know if you knew this or not, but the WWE is deemed essential business in Florida, and they're going to resume live shows. This, according to the mayor in Orange County, Jerry Demings, the company is going to resume live television shows from Orlando. That's at Full Sail University, where I have my broadcast school. We don't have students there, but we do have some wrestling there. Yes, Paulie?
It's Mayor Jerry the Hammer Demings, by the way.
Let me see what they're saying. Essential businesses are supposed to remain open during Florida's stay-at-home order, including those in healthcare, financial, energy, food, communications, and transportation sectors. According to a memo sent by the governor's office Thursday, recent additions to the list of essential services in the state include employees at a professional sports and media production with a national audience here. Wow. Somebody told ESPN on Monday that the WWE is essential because they are critical to Florida's economy. UFC has suspended all events, does not have a time frame for return, although Dana White has made it clear he wants to resume as soon as possible. I don't know how they get around this. Yeah, Todd.
Essential business, that's kind of insulting these days. That Florida depends on the WWE, a scripted fake sport, is going to save the economy of Florida. They have to wrestle.
Well, entertainment to different people is important. Like, we're a show that's allowed to be on air for that similar reasons. I know we're different.
But this is the state of Florida right now. They must have the WWE take place, or else something horrible is going to happen to the state of Florida's economy. That's what we're supposed to believe.
But would you be able to do this in other places? Why just Florida? If you're the WWE, aren't you scouting out where else you can do this?
I can't imagine how that would be a priority in any of the states of our union, that the wrestling must go on. We all want to see sports, real or fake. We all want to have a morale boost and whatever other excuses they're giving. But economically, that has to happen, or else Florida's going to be in dire straits. I'm not buying that.
Coming up, Jon Hamm and Russell Wilson. Of course, you would come to expect both of those joining us in the final hour. More phone calls as well. 877-3DP Show. Seton, Paulie, Fritzy, McLovin, yours truly here on the Dan Patrick Show.
When do the movies come into the picture? You provided instruments for a lot of different movies.
Bound for Glory with David Carradine. That was the first one, and then we did Back to the Future was another one.
Yeah, oh, awesome.
1 and 2, actually, you know.
So this shirt actually looks really familiar.
Well, this particular shirt was worn by Jason Segel in the movie Forgetting Sarah Marshall. And he wore this shirt for about 20 minutes in the movie. Actually, this shirt over here is from the movie Spinal Tap. This was actually the first shirt we ever had that was in a movie.
Provide instruments for Spinal Tap.
Yeah, we supplied all the instruments to Spinal Tap.
Speaking of Spinal Tap, I mean, is this a replica as well? Or?
No, this is actually, this was their actual prop in their live show. And it's signed by all the guys at Spinal Tap.
Yeah, wow, this is incredible.
Yep.
Is this everything, or is there sort of like your secret stash?
Well, I have a warehouse where I have about 600 guitars, and then I have about another couple hundred guitars in the back.
Yeah.
And my manager, Mark, does this thing called Guitar of the Day every day. And Mark generally pulls something out of the back, and we kind of do a little history on the guitar, talking about the guitar, and then Mark comes out and he demos the guitar and kind of shows people what it sounds like and how it plays.
Do you have a favorite?
There's so many. It's like children, you know, you can't have a favorite, but there's a number of them. I mean, I like ES335s. I do Stratocaster is the most popular guitar ever made in terms of electric. We've got a lot of really important acoustic guitars as well.
Value and rarity tied together? I mean, is the rarest guitar the most valuable?
Not really, but it's more about supply and demand. If it's rare and there's, you know, more than one person who wants it, that's what drives the price up. And these prices are not just made up off the top of my head. There's vintage guitar stores and collectors all over the world, and these values are pretty well known.
Yeah. Well, this is a super impressive placement. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day, showing us around.
That's all I got.
This is beautiful. What would something like this go for?
Oh, about 90,000 bucks.
$90,000?
It's a 1928 00045. It's one of the coolest Martins on the planet.
Yeah, it's really nice.
You can hold it, it's okay.
You know what? $90,000. Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Dan Patrick.
Do you want to hear from the Bengals?
Look, whenever you're in the conversation for the number one pick, it's obviously a dream come true.
Snap back to Joe. Looking left, design run. Quarterback draw up the middle. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
Let's bring in the Bengals head coach, Zach Taylor. Has the Bengals organization decided on who you're taking number one overall?
I think we're really comfortable with the direction we're headed.
Bringing you the biggest guests and best interviews right to your living room /office/daycare center.
Is there a scenario where you would change who you're taking?
It doesn't look that way. You know, people all the time ask me what would it take to give up that pick, and if there's somebody there that people are willing to give up a lot for, that they believe in, you know, then that really verifies what we think about those players as well.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Final hour on this Tuesday, Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Spent some time with Chris Fowler in the first hour talking about college football, and I think everything's on the table, including expanding playoffs and also springtime football. Maybe you minimize the regular season, maximize the postseason, which is where big money is made. We also talked to Ross Tucker, former NFL lineman, on Christian McCaffrey's deal. He had all the leverage, and Ross Tucker said McCaffrey was going to hold out if he didn't get this deal. And because of the coronavirus, you know, he had leverage here. They've lost all of their big-name players, and Christian McCaffrey got paid. I'm glad he got paid. You know, people feel like I have something against Christian McCaffrey. I just don't want to pay my running back. I don't want to give them, let's take the name out of this and just put in the position. I don't want to pay that position a second contract. That's just my philosophy with this. How many second contracts can you point out where you go, that one worked out for the team? Christian McCaffrey had leverage because you got to have somebody that these fans are going to go and see. And McCaffrey, at some point, you know, can I keep having him on the field? 90% of the time he's on the field. No other running back is on the field like that. And 400 touches, you just, you know, add logic to this, add math to this. And how long can you have Christian McCaffrey be that workhorse for you? You know, he could be a slot receiver. He can be a running back. He can be both. He had a wonderful season last year, but I get a little nervous about, you know, that. And it's nothing to do with Christian McCaffrey. But that team, you know, you're going to be in a rebuild here. You got Teddy Bridgewater and you got Christian McCaffrey and some artists to be named later. But felt like he had the leverage, and, you know, Dak Prescott got leverage. Patrick Mahomes going to have leverage. Deshaun Watson's going to have leverage. They're going to wait until Dak Prescott signs his $35 million a year deal. And then if I'm Mahomes, I wait for Watson to go in and sign his deal. And then I come in and say, all right, I want that and then some. Probably how that's all going to play out. Jon Hamm, the great actor, will join us coming up. Also, Russell Wilson, Russ and his wife, Sierra. She's pregos, and they just announced that I believe they are having a boy?
A boy.
Russell Wilson Jr. the third.
Confirmed.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk to Russ about that. That's nice. Good news for him. Brian in California joins us on the program. What's on your mind, Brian?
Hey, morning, DP.
Morning.
First time, long time. 6 feet and quite fluffy.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to say, you know, you can win a Super Bowl without a great quarterback. I look at the 2000 Ravens, the 2002 Buccaneers. You had Trent Dilfer and Brad Johnson, respectively. So that kind of kills your theory.
That's a long time ago. That's 18 years ago. Right?
It might be 18 years, but if you have a great defense and you built that defense, you can win a Super Bowl.
Okay, who has a great defense anymore?
I would say in this climate, I would say if the Chargers get themselves Isaiah Simmons in this draft, the Chargers will have a great defense.
You know, it almost worked for the Niners, though, Brian. I understand what you're saying, but, you know, and thanks for the phone call. In today's climate, you got to have a great quarterback. You do. Now, are there situations where, hey, Joe Flacco's not an elite quarterback, but he played at an elite level. Look at the numbers. Postseason numbers for Joe Flacco. Elite. You can say Nick Foles, not a great quarterback, consistent quarterback, but the numbers he put up when he played, like your quarterback has to be great in situations. You can't just have a guy who hands off. Trent Dilfer did it, won a Super Bowl because he had an unbelievable defense there. Okay, I'll give you that. And Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't great, but he was good. Jared Goff, not great, but good. But the reason why they didn't win Super Bowls is they didn't play great. Your quarterback has to have a moment where he plays great. Jared Goff did not in the Super Bowl, and Jimmy Garoppolo did not either. That's the difference. You got to have a quarterback, even if he's just good, that he can play great. Yes, McLovin.
We got an interesting tweet. It was a trivia question. Only 2 rushing kings have ever won the Super Bowl. If you took 5 minutes to think about it, you'd probably know who they are. But
Emmett won.
Yep.
Terrell Davis.
Yep, that's the 2. So it's been 20 years since a rushing king has won the Super Bowl as well.
Yeah, you don't have to have an elite running game, like a singular back. I think it's all look. The Patriots had, they kind of spread it out. You had guys who could do certain things at certain times for them. You didn't need to have just one great running back there. And look, I know that I contradict myself with Saquon Barkley. I just thought Saquon Barkley was something that was truly unique, who was going to help Eli in his final year, really a safety valve. He could run, he could catch the ball out of the backfield, but still, it's a high pick to use on a running back. And I don't know where Saquon Barkley is going to be in a couple of years where you go, you know what, let's sign him up to another deal. And the Giants are, going to have that dilemma. Jon Hamm, of course, gave us Mad Men. He's among a group of A-listers who came together on Saturday, online poker tournament. I tune in and I go, wait, Jon Hamm's already out. I think he was the second guy out and then he bought back in. It's All In for America's charity to raise money for Feeding America. And thought that they did a wonderful job with that. Are you any good at poker, John?
Apparently not, Dan.
You were being generous. Were you trying to be generous by buying back in so you could play?
Yeah, no, I was. I can't remember what I left out on the first hand on, but it was one of those deals where you're like, oh, well, here we are. Whoops, and. It's a testament to the guys that actually play that game for a living, that can sit there for hours. And Kevin Pollak actually ended up, I think, coming in second, and I ended up watching the rest of the tournament. It was pretty cool, but I was like, Pollak, you're just way more patient than I am because I want the action.
Well, can't you act like a good poker player?
Yeah, when somebody writes in the script that I get all the cool cards.
Well, like Matt Damon,
awesome.
Matt Damon in Rounders.
Exactly. When when somebody writes down that he knows all the cards and he's a savant. Yeah, of course. I'd be way better at it.
Who else was at the table with you that you found to be tough competition?
Who did I have at my table? I had Pollak for a certain point. I had Andy Milonakis. I had I didn't have anything that I really knew very well. Like Sarah Silverman was playing in it. Ben and Matt were both playing. I know both those guys, but I didn't really have anybody that I knew at my tables. And then everyone's under like pseudonyms, so I couldn't quite figure out who was who either. But it was still. I think I had Jimmy Kimmel's cousin Sal also there. So
was Tom Brady involved?
Brady was there. He didn't last very long either. So I'm in good company. All the good guys busted out early. That's all I'm saying.
Who's your best friend in Hollywood?
Good question. I think you wouldn't know him, but maybe you've met him actually at a Super Bowl or something. But probably my best friend is this guy who goes by the name of Tall John, because he's 6'10". He actually lives literally down the block from me, and we've been buds since like 1992. when I came out here on spring break from the University of Missouri and visited some friends. And
But you don't hang with. Do you hang with other? Like I don't hang with other sportscasters. Do you hang with other actors?
Not really. I hang with my friends, like my normal people that are that I've known. It's just one of those things.
What is the scene at home? Do you have a man cave? And we lost.
And in fact,
there.
I would. Nope, over there.
Okay.
I would. I got. My office is kind of where I spend the majority of my hours, which I'm in right now. My waking hours in my house, and I have pictures of my old dog. I've got my various and sundry awards. I've got my thing that I've collected over the years, which is a tribute to Stan Musial, which is a bass that was signed by him and one of his bats.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I've got my my collected pictures and memorabilia and baseballs and things like that I have that I've had over the years. So that's pretty much that's where I essentially spend my, no joke, especially now, we're going to go with about 18 hours a day in there.
All right, you might get mad at me, but in full disclosure here, I got all of the DVDs for Mad Men. Somebody sent it in, and the reason why she sent it in is because I've never watched an episode of Mad Men. Are you mad?
You, sir, have some homework to do.
Are you a mad man at me not watching Mad Men?
No, I think that you're a busy guy. I don't see why why would I be mad at that? You've got stuff to do. I'll be honest with you. I only watched about 70% of the stuff with you and Keith Olbermann. So
okay, that's fair, and that's fair. But you get it at some point. I've never watched The Sopranos. I didn't watch Game of Thrones. I waited 5 years to watch The Wire. I waited 10 years to watch Breaking Bad. I think I'm getting ready for Mad Men.
I think you're ready. It took me 5 years for The Wire. I was very late for that one. I was in due time with The Sopranos and Breaking Bad. But there's stuff that hey, sometimes they miss the boat. It's how it goes. There's too much TV. This is what's happening now. There's too much.
Give me the episode of Mad Men that you say, if you're only going to watch one, for God's sakes, watch this episode.
Well, it's hard because, the show is so established on character building, and you have to know the characters. And so some of the later episodes that are really dependent on that are that's the bigger thing, is that if you've sat with these guys for a while, these things have a little more resonance. But if I were to say one episode of the show, there's an episode in season 4. Actually, the whole season 4 is pretty great. But season 4 called The Suitcase, which is kind of a little bottle episode with Don and Peggy, where they get locked in trying to figure out an ad campaign for Samsonite, of all things, which just reminds me of Dumb and Dumber every time I say it. But it's a really good episode, and a lot of things happen with those, especially those two characters, and it's for my money, that's my favorite episode of the show.
Now, my guy said there's a lot of drinking in that episode. What is the actual beverage that they give you to drink?
Weirdly enough, it's weak, sort of diluted tea, because that looks the most like whiskey.
Yeah.
They make iced tea and then they just pour it into your glass, and so you're just caffeinated the whole day.
How difficult is it to act drunk?
Way easier than actually being drunk. Because there's no residual after effect.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. I think somebody had said, I don't know who it was, Dean Martin or somebody back in the day, but somebody said that the best rule for acting drunk is that every drunk person doesn't want to look like they're drunk, right? So every person that's actually drunk thinks they're not. Yes. So that's the best way to think about it.
He's Jon Hamm. He starred in Mad Men. He won a couple of Golden Globes, I believe, for that. And also, he took part in a charity poker event, All In for America's Charity, to raise money. It was an online poker tournament for Feeding America. A couple of things here. Top Gun, is that done? And what's your role in Top Gun?
That is done. We finished shooting that last July, maybe. It's coming out. It was meant to come out this summer, but now we are in the Upside Down, so that's not happening. It's going to come out, I think, Christmas. That moved it. My character's call sign is Cyclone. I play Tom Cruise's superior officer who, believe it or not, Tom's got some problems with authority. Maverick doesn't want to play by the rules.
He didn't want to play by the rules when the original came out.
I believe his ego was writing checks his body can't cash.
Yeah, but his nickname is Maverick. What do you expect him to be? He's not going to be compliant.
It's baked in. His call sign isn't rule follower.
He's Maverick. Also, is there a cheesy line that we'll take out of Top Gun?
If there is, I don't have it, but there might be.
Okay.
I don't really have a good quotable one that I can think of.
So like the need for speed and things like that.
I'm sure that there is. Chris McQuarrie co-wrote the script, and they were all very, very aware and cognizant of kind of the legacy of Top Gun. So I'm pleased as punch with it. I've seen of it. It's so good, and the kind of, obviously the original was made in 1986.
Yeah.
The technology now with cameras and HD and K, whatever technology is all so much better, and just the flying sequences alone are phenomenal. You're like, oh my God, this is so cool.
I also wanted to compliment you on playing Larry David on Curb Your Enthusiasm. Did you ever think that I would, somebody would compliment you on, hey, and by the way you played Larry David was
great, Larry David.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a long list of, let me see De Niro do that.
How many Larry Davids have we seen? No, I've known Larry for some time. Larry and I worked together a couple of years back on a movie called Clear History, which we shot in Boston, and we got to know each other because he found out I played golf. And if you know Larry, playing golf, and so we were sitting in Boston for a month and a half shooting this movie, and he's got a bunch of cronies there that he loves playing golf with, and I got to. With those guys, so I basically got to be part of Larry David's crew for a month and a half, and win and lose hundreds of dollars on the golf course. So it was pretty fun.
Yeah, that episode was great. It's great to check in with you, John. I'm glad you're doing well, and keep in touch. We appreciate you joining us.
Likewise, Dan. I mean, it's here we are. With I literally watched. The 1982 World Series last night because that's what was on, and we're in a world of retro sports. It feels like I should fire up my old Nintendo gaming system and we'll play some RBI baseball or something, or some Tecmo Bowl.
I like that.
But it's here we are. It's just the strangest thing, but obviously it's all done for the right reasons, and we're doing this thing to stay healthy and stay safe. But man, it's pretty funky to have a summer without sports.
I know, and imagine having a job where 3 hours a day you're supposed to be talking about it. But that's where we appreciate people like you coming in and filling in some time.
Dan, that's why I'm here.
Thank you. I'm sure that I'm going to get around to Mad Men, John. I promise I will.
Thanks. By the way, hey, call me anytime. I'll type in. I'll kill 10 minutes of the show.
Thank you, John. Jon Hamm, Mad Men. I'll get around to it eventually.
I like that you're honest, though. Most Hollywood people would lie to each other.
Well, when somebody says, "Oh gosh, I'm such a big fan," or "I admire your body of work," if we had, let me see, if Jason Momoa was on, I'd have to tell him I never watched Game of Thrones.
Huh?
Or Emily Clark, or whatever her name is. I'd have to tell her I never watched Game of Thrones. What, McLovin?
Amelia Clark, Dan, please.
My bad.
Khaleesi, as I call her.
Okay. Now, didn't she date Seth MacFarlane?
No, I didn't know that. That's a great couple.
Oh, wait, you knew how to pronounce her name. You just didn't know that little tidbit?
Oh, I'm sorry. There's one person right now who knows more about Hollywood dating than anyone else in this room.
I'm going to host that show one day. Just one day. That's it. Just one day I want to host Entertainment Tonight. I'll swap out Kevin Frazier. Although Kay Frazier doing the show from his home. Yeah, I was watching last night. And watching Billy Bush on Extra last night. Just trying to keep up, even during the pandemic. Take a break. Russell Wilson Jr. III. Literally, we'll ask him about the new baby on the way now that they know that it's going to be a boy. We'll talk to Russ right after this, 22 after the hour.
All right, so we're here at the Broadway 50/50, Alamo Heights, Texas. PJ, owner, how are you, bud?
Doing well.
We're here at Paper Tiger with the general manager, Doug. This is the St. Mary's Strip,
Yes.
is that right? So Paper Tiger has been here for a while, too.
3 years last week, I believe.
3
2
years
weeks ago.
And then before that, was it a different venue?
Yeah, it was called the White Rabbit.
How did you come into owning this place? You have an interesting history.
Yeah, I was a regular here, and there was a fire about 5 years ago. I was showing up every day, like knocking on the door with a hammer and a six-pack, and like, hey man, can I help? Like, how do we get this? Like, my wife knows I'm already gonna be here. Like, how do we figure this out? And so we just kept coming back, and he finally was like, man, you love this place. I don't have the time to fix it back up, and if you're interested, I'll sell you the place. I know you love it, so let's see what happens. And I was a Harley dealer at the time, and it's kind of an outlier, but I was like, man, we'll try it out.
Your history with the place goes way back.
Yeah. I started coming to shows here late 90s, early 2000s, just to try to see punk shows or whatever that weren't coming through Dallas. It just became fun just to drive down here, and so a lot you good times.
That's pretty wild.
Pretty wild.
You could probably sit here before and be like, I'm just gonna buy this place one day.
Everybody sits here and does that.
You know what, man? One day I'm gonna buy this place.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I did.
Yeah.
Do you have a band that's come through that was just sort of on their way up that you're like, dang, like the next time this band comes through town, they're playing a much bigger venue than Paper Tiger?
We've had a couple people like that since I've been here. We had actually Kuko, who is from LA, ended up blowing out tickets so fast that the day of, we put 100 more tickets on sale. He sent one tweet, and literally within 5 minutes, we sold all 100 tickets.
Dan Patrick Show brought to you by Mercedes-AMG. Be prepared for whatever comes your way. It's the all-new GT four-door coupe. Visit your local dealership. Life is a race. If you missed any of our interviews from the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, go to the Dan Patrick Show app. Watch and listen from inside the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, Mercedes-AMG. Driving performance. Russell Wilson Jr. III and his wife Sierra donated 1 million meals to a Seattle food bank via Feeding America, as well as being part of raising over 10 million more meals for Feeding America through a campaign called Meals Up in conjunction with Wheels Up. And Russ joins us on the program. First of all, congratulations on having a baby boy.
Thanks, Dan. Hey, listen, I'm looking for names. I think last time I was on your show was at the Super Bowl, and I think you guys threw out Hawk Wilson.
Yes.
So I'm putting that into the fish bowl here, and we're gonna have a lottery here.
What about Russell Wilson Jr. III?
Hey, well, that's what you call me. So we have to be called the fourth because based on what you call me here, Dan.
But would you go for Russell?
Yeah, that's in the pot. That's in the pot. I'm not going to give too much away, but that could be it. That could not be it.
Okay.
It could be something different.
What about Gunner?
That's a good one. I like that. Gunslinger. I like that. I like the idea of Gunner.
Gunslinger Wilson. I like it.
Who knows?
All right. Are you coming? Are you allowed to come up with the boys' names, or is Sierra involved in? Is it a team effort here?
There's no team effort here. It's all me. No, I'm just kidding. No, we work together on it.
Well, you're the GM and she's the owner. And, yes, you literally work together on this. Yeah.
Exactly. We did.
Yeah. Well done on this.
Well, funny thing is with our daughter, her name's Sienna. And so that was a mixture of, my two favorite girls in the world, obviously, my, Sierra and then also my sister, Anna. So that's how we came up with our daughter's name. So.
By the way, the dance video with your wife is...
How'd I do, Dan?
Well, okay, I likened you to Trent Dilfer with the Ravens when they won the Super Bowl. You're a game manager. You're a dance video manager. Like, you didn't get in the way.
Called me a pocket dancer the other day.
Well, your wife is unbelievable dancer. Like, that is... It's mesmerizing to watch how talented she is. And Prego, too.
She's the best in the world. She's the best in the world, and she's pregnant. So she's over there, put on a show. And I was just, I stayed in my lane. I stayed in the back until the very end. I tried to do my Drake rendition there.
Oh, is that what that was? Oh, that was Drake.
Yeah, he's got the little head bop thing he does. It's infamous Drake. So.
And then your son comes out at the very end.
Yeah, he put on the show too at the end. So. He actually cut off the video a little bit short. We were going to let it ride a little bit more and let him do his thing. But we're done.
I noticed that. How much are you working out? Can you work out?
Every day, actually, except for Sundays right now. We've been, as soon as I'm done here, I'm actually about to go out and get a good workout in and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's an everyday thing. The reality is that I had to have my mind mentally prepared to play football in, 3 to 4 months, so that's kind of my mentality right now.
Okay, but you can't throw the ball to anybody.
Well, I have my trainer who stays here and works here with me. So, yeah, he's catching for me when I need to throw. So that's how I get my throws in.
Are you curious about the draft coming up with these quarterbacks? Did you watch Tua and Joe Burrow, and do you have any kind of a assessment? I think you met Joe Burrow on our set at the Super Bowl, but any thoughts on these quarterbacks?
I did meet Joe. I think he's got a great demeanor to him. He seems cool, calm, and collected. And then, Tua I've gotten to talk to several times. I'm a big fan of his, too. So both of those guys are ballers. I think it's going to be a great quarterback, draft class. It's going to be interesting to see these guys go off the board. It's something I always look forward to, watching the draft. So even though it's going to be from a distance, it's going to kind of feel like the Major League Baseball draft in a way. Major League Baseball draft, they have that first round where it's kind of special, but then after that, they kind of do everything, just calling guys and stuff like that. So I think it'll feel like that from a distance, and I think the NFL will do a good job of it. But I think it'll be interesting to see how these quarterbacks play. You never know. College is a predictor on how you're going to do in the NFL, but it's not. It doesn't determine what's going to happen.
But what didn't we see? You were drafted later. But what did they miss that you were putting right in front of the scouts and the GMs and the coaches?
I think they missed a couple inches on my height.
Was that it, though? If you're 6'3", where would you have been taken?
Ah, man. Well, people have said that, different people have said different things, that I would, been the top 5 pick, in
you
the
think
draft
so?
as a caller. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But that's what people have said before. Mel Kiper said, I would be a high pick, all this
Well,
stuff.
where did you think if I
height.
was asking you that morning where you thought you were going to go?
That morning of the draft?
Yeah.
Or are you asking me if I was 6'3"?
No, look, Russ, I'm 6'3", and it's really nice to be 6'3". Just letting you know, it is really.
Thanks for rubbing it in, Dan.
Yeah, it is so great to be 6'3". Okay, so
I get it.
if I were to ask you on that Thursday of the draft, where are you going to be drafted? Where do you think you'll be drafted, and by who? What would you have said?
If I was 6'3", or if I was 5'11"?
No, as you are.
Okay, as my okay. I think I would hope for I would have been drafted like probably the second round. I think that was my hope. I think.
And was there a
first
team?
Round talent for sure.
Was there?
But
yeah, that's obvious now. But was there a team where you said, I think this is where I'm going to go?
Well, funny thing is, crazy story. I think I've told you the story before, but I put all the names in a hat, and cut them up right after the Senior Bowl. And I met with pretty much all the teams at the Senior Bowl in different clubs and stuff like that. And honestly, my favorite team was actually the Seattle Seahawks. And I pulled the name out of the hat. True story. True story.
Really?
And I was like, that's the team I was going to. So fast forward, I go to the Combine. I put on a pretty good show at the Combine. I do well and stuff like that. I have a good time, great interviews, and everything goes well. I'm about to leave out the door to go to my pro day. True story. My pro day is, I think, on March 7th, I think, or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but I think it was somewhere around then. But I go to my pro day, and at Wisconsin, and I'm walking out the door just leaving the Combine, just getting done running an hour after, and have my bags, about to hit my flight. And all these coaches come in, and GMs and people like that, and they walk by me, and they stop me, and they say, hey, good job, Russ, good job. And Seattle Seahawks, are there in that circle with a bunch of other teams. And John Schneider's there, Pete Carroll, and John's like, hey, Russ, I don't know if we'll be able to, get you, but, good luck to you. Kind of passed me by. And I was like, that's kind of messed up. That's the team I wanted to go to. Like, I'm going to show you. And then sure enough, come April 27th, he calls my name. So, listen, I think that, I've been in baseball drafts before and everything else. I think the reality is that your name's going to get called when your name's going to get called. But that is not going to determine, where you're going to be when it's all said and done. You get to determine that, and I think that ultimately that's always been my focus. It's never changed. Just trusting the process, putting the work in, respecting the process, loving what I get to do. The studying part, you got to love the studying more than just the plan. The plan's the fun part, but you got to also love the studying just as much. And I think that's the thing that I've always tried to invest myself in and my time in, and just knowing the history of the game, too, as well, as much as you possibly can.
But I look at these quarterbacks that have a chip on their shoulder. Drew Brees still has a chip on his shoulder for a variety of reasons. They're not tall enough, didn't get taken in the first round. Tom Brady plays with a chip on his shoulder. You play with a chip on your shoulder. Aaron Rodgers plays a chip on his shoulder because he went at the end of the first round instead of number 1 overall. Like, that motivation is there. Is it conscious or subconscious that's there?
I think it's both. I think it's got to be subconscious, in a way, because if you're getting to the place that you're one of the best in the world, and people are starting to regard you in that sense, or people do call you the best in the world, the GOAT, or people, you think about the GOATs of the world, when you get to that point, I think that, people, your mind starts thinking about, how do I continue going? I think when you're in the process too, as well, is you just want to continue to develop and get better. I think my focus has always been just consciously focusing on the process, the next step, the next opportunity, the next game, and I think consciously I have also understood that, there's other guys out there that, people, fall in love with and this and that. But what I can control is how I play, and I think that's what I consciously focus on. And then the subconscious part is you're innately competitive. You don't get to this level without being innately, ultimately competitive. I think that's where the mindset is my separator. I think that more than anything, my mind is what I think is going to be the thing that takes me to the place that I really want to go. And no matter what the storm is, no matter what the obstacle is, I always believe I'm going to win, period. Like, I don't think there's a more competitive person in my mind than anyone I face on the field. And that's just my mentality. Every time I step on the field, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win, period. And that's the only option. And so I think that I try to transfer that, on a daily to everything that I do. I try to transfer that on a daily to how I train and how I'm thinking about stuff, how I'm watching my film. What's it going to take to win? And I think that you got to have that obsession with your mindset and how you're going to be the best in the world at what you do. And I've been blessed to be with a great team and be around some great players and we got some young stars in our team. Obviously Tyler Lockett is such a special player. DK Metcalf. Chris Carson's such a great player. We've added some other great players, and Greg Olson, some other guys too as well. And so,
do you try to not take your shirt off around DK Metcalf?
I try to make sure I do take it off to let him know that I have the dad bod over him. I can still whip his tail, so I make sure I do.
Oh, you could you could whip his tail?
Oh yeah.
In what?
Not in a race, that's for sure.
Not on a bench press either. He's got it like, doesn't he have a 10-pack?
Something like that. I don't count, though. I think you're counting.
Hey, how much money do you think Mahomes is going to make?
I don't know, man.
Is he going to be 40 million or more?
I think he should. I think he should be. I mean, I think he's got the talent, and he's been playing, some of the best football, at that position. I think, he's a great quarterback. He's a great, great player, man. There's nothing that he can't do on the field. How he scrambles, how he throws the ball deep down the field. He's competitive. He has fun out there. He leads his team down the field to win.
He's not better than you, though, is he?
Man, he's a great player. That's what I know. I think me and Pat are going to have some great competitions, great games down the road. We played once so far, but I think we're going to have some battles down the road. So I'm looking forward to those.
Hey, it's great to talk to you again. Congrats again with the baby boy. Our best to your wife, and we appreciate what you're doing charity-wise as well.
Oh, of course, man. Well, appreciate you guys, and just keep believing during this time, guys. Keep the positivity going. Everybody remain neutral in the midst of the storm. We're going through something right now, so just keep uplifting people. And Dan, I appreciate you. It's always fun to be on your show. And I'm taking names.
Go Hawk!
For the baby boy. So All right, I'll see you guys. Go Hawk.
Thank you. That's
always.
What happens if he ends up playing for another team? Going to end because he ends every conversation with "Go Hawks." I think Hawk Wilson's pretty good. I like that. I think we mentioned that at the Super Bowl. When he came in with that corduroy coat on.
Oh, yeah.
That was a nice-looking coat.
Cost more than my car.
Now, that's not something I could probably pull off, but he came in the Miami weather wearing a corduroy jacket.
Dude was killing it.
That was a sharp looking.
Killing it.
So he's got this video. I think it's called the Tootsie Slide with him and his wife, and it's a shout out to Drake, I guess. But his wife is a phenomenal dancer. Like you watch that and you go, I don't even know if I could do what Russell does in the video, let alone her. We'll take a break. I guess it's a surprise phone call coming up. Remember I mentioned the Man Meat Madness Bracket Challenge that one of our listeners came up with? It's a hot guy draft.
Oh.
His name is Sean Stiffy. And, of course, Stiffy gave us the Man Meat Madness Bracket Challenge, and he'll tell you who is the hottest man. Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm a professional broadcaster here. I'm an award-winning broadcaster.
You smell that Emmy in the air?
No, that's paint. That's paint from the Tom Brady mural that we're redoing there. Sean in Florida is the big winner of Todd's scoreboard, 48-22. You can explain that when we come back. I know you came up with one of the numbers there, the 22. 48, I'm not sure about. So we'll come back with that. Close up shop. Last call for phone calls after this.
You have combined two of my most favorite things from when I was a teenager, which is skateboarding and beer. Tell me a little bit about that combination.
I grew up skateboarding as well with my brother. Our heart, soul was Thrasher every day. All the Rector stuff that our parents made us wear. I mean,
right.
So I got this bar, and I said, why not fill it with everything like from my childhood? You know, that's Star Wars and skateboards and all the fun stuff.
Do you have somebody right now that you want to come through, you're trying to book, or like, dang, it'd be so sick to have anybody selling tickets, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to have all my favorite bands come through, you know. You know, there's things that, there's people you put out offers for and all of a sudden they explode. Cardi B, we actually had an offer in for her, and then all of a sudden it was like, well, she's on the Grammys.
Yeah,
so it's, you know, it's fun being this size and getting some of those people who you see a year or two later that are just huge.
Right. So what are you known for?
We're known for our burgers. The Royale with cheese has always been the #1 seller, whether it was before or when I owned it. I mean, it's what people come in here for.
The music industry has been changing a lot. I mean, you have acts now and bands now that you know, they're just on SoundCloud and don't even really need a label anymore. What is it like being a venue in the changing music industry?
When I first started working, you would look at people's sound scans to see how many records they've sold in the area. Then it switched to, okay, how many Facebook likes do they have? Now, some of these guys don't even use Facebook. They'll have nothing on iTunes, not on a record label, no booking agent, yet they have 20 million plays on SoundCloud. You know, so it's really hard to keep up with it all, and it's, you know, it's just an ever-changing market.
This is a Royale with cheese.
This is a Royale with cheese with the onion rings, and you know, we get the bread baked, get it delivered every day fresh. We grind our own meat. We do everything that we can as fresh as possible here, and I think it shows up in the food.
So who would that dream booking be if it's your favorite band? So you get this is the one band that you get to book, and there's no, don't worry about size, don't worry about money, don't worry about anything.
For me, it'd probably be Jawbreaker.
See, if you get them here, I'm flying back.
Oh, hey, I'll invite you back.
Yeah, sick. I feel like if you do a cheeseburger right, then you're really going places.
Yeah.
You sort of win me over. You mind if I take a bite of this?
I mean, I would like nothing more.
That's a cheeseburger right there, dude. That's even better. That's a Royale with cheese.
Thank you, sir.
Dang, man, that is awesome.
I forgot that I promised Penny, C-O-O-K-I-E, because when I said treat, she doesn't respond to treat, but Penny responds to a cookie. Who wants a cookie? Do you? Can I get, thank you? Thank you. You've been sleeping. Okay. Good girl. Wait, I got one more for you. Penny, I got a cookie. What? You want your cookie? Come on. Does she do this where if I show her where it is, and then I go like that, like Cooper does, and then I go, which one is it? Which one is it? Wrong. Good girl. Okay, you got it on the second try. That's pretty good. Good girl. Yeah, I do that with Cooper, and I think he's left-pawed. He always goes with his hand, no matter what. And then he's so proud when he gets it the second time. He's so proud of himself. I'm like, because I go, no, and then you go, yay, you did it. Yeah. Little victories. Good girl. Lie down. That's it. Good girl. Lie down. what we learned, what's in store tomorrow, guest list. Oh, I just saw this. Hank Steinbrenner, co-owner of the Yankees, has died after a long illness. He was 63 years of age. So Hank Steinbrenner, co-owner of the Yankees, has passed away. Fritzy's scoreboard challenge each day puts up numbers on the scoreboard, and if you get it right, first one to get it right, get some DP Show gear. We do have our winner. He's Sean in Florida. Fritzy, the 22 is for Christian McCaffrey.
Correct.
The 48
has to do with our previous guest.
Russell Wilson Jr. the third.
He wears number 3, but he did something with that number.
48.
Against my team, which I hate to bring up.
Oh, wow. He put up 48 points against the Broncos?
No, he won Super Bowl.
Oh, okay.
Against the Broncos.
Oh.
But they scored pretty much close to
That is true. I was in Russia, and that year, if you remember, I picked Seattle to beat Denver in the Super Bowl at the start of the year. And I'm in Russia at Sochi for the games, and I forget the time difference, but it was late staying up to watch it. And all I did is I think I watched the first 10 minutes, and I said, this is over. I'm going to bed. And woke up the next day, and obviously I didn't need to see too. When the ball was snapped over Peyton's head, and I just went, nah, I'm good. I think Seattle's going to win this. I feel pretty confident in this. Let me see. Final results of the poll question. Steve Kerr, the Golden State Warriors head coach, will join us on the program tomorrow. The great movie reviewer, Richard Roper, he saw the Michael Jordan series, 10-part series. We'll get his thoughts. He's a Chicago native, works out of Chicago, so we'll talk to him about how well done the documentary is on the mothership. McLevin, final results of the poll question.
I actually put up who would you pay more, Christian McCaffrey or Devontae Adams, and 78% said McCaffrey.
All right. Are we having Sean Stiffy on?
I think he's on the line.
Hey, Sean?
Yes, Sean Stiffy here. How you doing?
Hi, Sean. Sean's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I believe, and he just sent me his Man Meat Bracket Challenge for 2020. Yes, Paul?
Yeah, he's from a long line of Stiffies in that area.
So Sean Stiffy is, I guess, the commissioner of the Man Meat Bracket Challenge, and you want to tell us how you came up with this and who is the Man Meat Bracket Challenge winner for 2020?
Yeah, so it was partially inspired by you guys in the Great Hot Guy Draft, and then I think it was the Golden Globes me and my wife were watching, and Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio came up on stage. We got an argument on who's the better-looking guy. So from there, I took that simple question onto Instagram and put out a poll question, and Leo won, and I was completely shocked. So I was like, you know what? I need to do 64 guys, a full tournament, and let's see who wins this. So I started in February doing one matchup per day, and it went all the way until the beginning of April. And Ryan Reynolds came out as your champ, but there are some big surprises along the way. Bradley Cooper knocked out Zac Efron in the first round, which was amazing to me.
Well, that's a tough matchup there in the first round, but
yeah, the committee was doing Zac Efron. No favors on that one.
You got a lot of free time there, Sean Stiffy.
I guess I do.
Well, thank you for sharing that. The Man Meat Bracket Challenge of 2020, and Ryan Reynolds is what's the Stiffy look like? Like, do you give out is there an award for Sean Stiffy?
That's what I was thinking. I might have to get in touch with Ryan Reynolds' people and send him maybe a T-shirt or a trophy. I'll figure out something.
Yes, he is the inaugural winner of the Stiffy. Thank you, Sean.
I got like 100 jokes.
Fun show today. Chris Fowler was great. It wasn't doom and gloom, but it wasn't roses. It wasn't rainbows there with college football season. Ross Tucker is always great to talk to. He gave great perspective on Christian McCaffrey and that contract, and that McCaffrey was going to hold out, had leverage. And then Russell Wilson Jr. the third, and Jon Hamm. Fritzy, what did you learn on today's program?
Chris Fowler says there's no consensus around college football on how to deal with how the coronavirus will affect the upcoming season. Sounds kind of chaotic the next few months.
Chaotic. McLevin.
Russ is open to Russell Wilson Jr. the fourth.
Seton O'Connor Jr. the third.
Jon Hamm only watched 70% of your work with Keith Olbermann. So take that.
Hey, message sent loud and clear. Paulie?
Your last name's Stiffy. You better have a good sense of humor.
Fritzy, what did I learn?
Chris Fowler says Joe Burrow has extreme confidence. Let's go ahead and call it cocky.
Okay. What we learned brought to you by LegalZoom. LegalZoom has made it easy to set up the right estate plan without leaving your home. Take care of your family today. The right estate plan at LegalZoom.com. I saw where Steve Kerr and Pete Carroll are doing a podcast together.
With Bill Simmons, I think.
Is it with those guys?
I think so. I think it's with the Ringer and Simmons.
And I think the title is Flying Coach, which is pretty good. Yeah, but we'll talk to Steve Kerr. He'll join us tomorrow. And then I'm curious what Richard Roper thought of the Michael Jordan 10-part series there on the Mothership. I don't know how it cannot be great. If Jordan took part in it, I mean, that's all you want. You get Jordan, and then everybody else follows. My worry was they were going to get everybody else, and then Jordan wasn't going to take part in it. So we'll talk to Richard about that, get his review on that, and also Steve Kerr. Get his thoughts on the Jordan documentary. Has he seen it? Certainly involved in it. Thanks for joining us. For all of us in front and behind the microphones, we say thank you. Talk to you tomorrow. Be safe. Be smart.